What's up, guys? On this week's show,
Avengers Assemble.
We are the men and women in black.
And Big Willie versus Little Willie?
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
Cue the music.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me are my co-hosts, Benwah.
Stop fucking spoiling Endgame, okay? Stop it. Stop it, internet. People, fuck you. Stop it.
And DJ Melly Mel.
Hey!
Before we get started, I want to let you know, if you enjoyed the show, tell some friends about us. Share us on your social media. Whatever you choose to do, just know that you are helping us let others know about the best damn podcast they probably never heard of. Now, if you want to talk to us, the show is on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. You can find our resident DJ Melly Mel at Froggy Beaver, and Benwah is at Benwah Gaming. That's BENWAH Gaming. What have you been doing?
Okay, for a second,
weird.
there was a lot of a pause there. I was like, did something go wrong?
I think he was trying to figure out how to say that, because you should have seen his face. Mm-hmm. It's like he was really thinking hard.
Yeah, the gears were turning.
Very hard.
There was smoke coming out of my ears.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
Overclocking that brain of yours.
Yeah. CPU.
Craziness. Let's see. What did I do this week? Well, we went and saw Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did.
We avenged the assembled.
No.
What?
No,
wait,
hold
what?
on. Wait, no. I think what I wanted to say is we assembled the avenged.
Okay.
Nope, that don't work either.
Nope.
All right.
Still not.
We got the team together, man.
Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay.
The four of us went and saw Avengers, so that was pretty legit.
Mm-hmm.
Rescued my sister-in-law again.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasis on the again.
Damn.
And I went to the dentist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I worked a little bit, and that's about it. All is well at the dentist.
Fascinating.
Haven't killed the sister-in-law just yet.
Good.
And enjoyed the movie, so yeah. What about you, Ben? What you been doing?
Apparently getting really amped up about Endgame. Like, I've not seen the film. I really don't have any plans to see it, but I know, given how big it is in the prevalence of trolls in our society, and not just specifically trolls, but some people who just don't realize, like, if you're in a movie theater, don't talk about the movie you just fucking saw in any
Should be like Fight
detail.
Club.
Right. First rule, don't talk about it.
Yeah, and it's really starting to piss me off, because it's like, come the fuck on. I haven't seen the film, obviously. I haven't read about the film. All I know is that it's received like really raving reviews, like legit 90+% on all major aggregators of review sites, and which is crazy because it's a 3-hour film. And on top of that, it's broken box office records, which I will elaborate on more later into Wabbit Hole. So stay tuned for that. As for me personally, nothing really of notes happened, except I began a new game called Soccer Boy. It's a PAL region. I think it's Soccer Boy or Soccer Kid. I don't remember. It's a PAL region exclusive that was only released on the Super Nintendo. And if you want to hear somebody rage live, check out my Twitch channel, because you will hear it pretty often with some of these shitty games I play. Other than that, man, it's fucking chilly outside. It's wet. I can't do my yard work. I'm sleeping in a hoodie. I'm not turning on my heat in the house, so it's like a constant 49 degrees. Where's spring? I thought we're in spring.
Yeah, I'm not turning my heat on either, man. I've already turned it off for the season. Nope, that's it.
We are well within a month of spring,
and
it has not yet felt like it.
No, not even. Well, we had a day or two, but
that doesn't count.
Yeah, it was so brief, it might as well not even have happened.
What about you, Michael? What have you been up to, sir?
Well, I will repeat the DJ Melly sentiment. I also went and seen Avengers Endgame this weekend, and I will repeat Benwah's sentiment that I am sick of fucking trolls. So, okay, hear me out, because I got a little mini rant. So, I get it. It's a fictitious universe with fictitious characters. There are actual real things happening in the world. There was a synagogue shooting over the weekend. People are dying all over the world from famine and dictatorships and all kind of shit. There are more important things than a movie. I got that. I understand. That being said, this has been 11 years in the making over the course of 21 prior films and has made billions upon billions of dollars, and there are probably billions of people that are very invested in this, and it angers me that there are like a minority of people who are like going out of their way to ruin that experience for people. Because, and I'll probably talk about this more when we actually do the review, but we have never had anything like this in the history of cinema, or just in history at all, to have something that's over a decade long come to this like big climactic conclusion that so many people are looking forward to, and we may never get anything like this ever again. And it's so selfish and petty for people to... It's one thing to slip up and say something, or just not care to talk openly about something, but there are people who are going to porn websites and putting spoilers in the title to porn thumbnails. There are people specifically going to like the comment sections on the trailers and spoiling it for people watching the video. There was a man in China who saw the movie and walked out into the lobby and was like loudly exclaiming shit that happened in the movie. And if you didn't see my tweet about it, he got the motherfucking shit beat out his ass for doing it too. And I was like, good, fuck him. And I don't know, it bothers me that on some weird like level, people get pleasure out of ruining experiences for other people. Not just this, but just for anything. And I don't understand it. I don't know the psychology behind what gets your dick hard about ruining someone else's experience. You know, it's like tripping a kid with an ice cream cone. It's like, I don't get it. Like what do you get from that? Like, who bullied you in school? Like, what, like, did your dad touch you when you were a kid? Like, what happened to you that gives you like this sadistic pleasure?
The only time I would get enjoyment out of tripping a kid with an ice cream cone is if that kid was acting an asshole while his mom was standing in line.
Even still, he's
still,
a kid. Kids are assholes.
Nah,
that's
it
just
depends on how old he is. Like, if he's a little kid, then I can let it go. If he's like 13 or 10, even 10, if he's like 10 and he's acting an asshole, and then mom just buys him the ice cream cone just to shut him up, yeah, got no problems tripping the kid. Just saying.
But I mean,
I'm not going online spoiling.
Sure.
That's just wrong.
But no. The point still stands is that regardless of whatever it is, whether it be a movie or somebody's looking forward to anything, like, don't be a dick about it. And people are gonna do it. They're gonna do it just to spite you telling them not to. Like, the more you tell them not to do it, the more they're gonna do it anyway. But it just bothers me. It really does.
It should, because I mean, where have we come in society that is the, you know, we can't just enjoy situations. We have to enjoy others not having that situation.
Yeah. And especially for our experience, on our way into the theater, Amber had to go to the bathroom, and we were standing next to the seasoning thing for popcorn. And I'm standing there holding her bucket of popcorn while she goes to the bathroom before we go to the movie. And there's a group that just got out, and the hallway from the theaters feeds right into the lobby. And they stopped right at the entrance of the lobby, where the lobby and the hallway to the theaters meets, right next to the bathrooms, and just begin to from top to bottom, just talk about the movie like, and then this happened, and then Thor did this, and then Iron Man did that, and then Captain America did this, and it was really cool, and Thanos did that, and I was just like, what? Like, why are you doing this?
I'm so glad that those people were gone by the time I got there.
Yeah, it's one thing to be like walking through the parking lot, because there were a couple people I walked by on the way in that had just came out, and I'm like covering my ears and like la 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 to myself. You're outside at that point, so it's fair game.
Sure.
But I'm like, at least exit the theater before you do this shit. And it's even if you're in the lobby, it's one thing to be in the lobby congregating talking about something. I can at least avoid you.
Sure.
To some degree. And
Sure.
there's enough people to where the noise will probably drown you out. When you're right at the mouth of the theater, I can't not go into the movie without you being there.
Mm-hmm.
That, oh God. I
Have
literally
the presence
wanted to kill
of mind to know your environment and just maybe come up with some kind of... It should be an unwritten rule that you do not speak about the film you just watched until you're back in your car.
Exactly. Or at least go outside. Yeah. Something, man.
That's what I mean. People don't care anymore.
And that was the thing, too, that bothered me the most about it is it wasn't like, oh, they had a friend that went to the bathroom and they were just standing there talking about it. They just stopped right there and just started talking. And I'm just like, I hope you get genital herpes.
Well,
like,
damn.
I swear to God. I really do.
Don't fuck with my kids.
I've never dealt with this specific situation, but if I were, I know I would be the kind of guy that probably would just walk up to their group and be like, yo, can you bite your tongue for a minute or take it like over there? Because all these people here getting their drinks and popcorns and shit, you know they ain't seen the film yet, so shut the fuck up. Okay?
And that's the other thing, too. It's opening weekend. So it's like, what, because you got here 3 hours before I did, that it's my fault for not seeing it sooner? It's like, I saw it the second day it came out. Like, Jesus Christ. It was so frustrating. But anyway, we will talk about it much, much later. So until then, moving on.
OMG, my favorite part was when they showed Wolverine's claws during the post-credit scene. Okay, sorry, that wasn't really in the movie. I just wanted to see what it felt like to spoil something.
Okay.
But
So, we have another film from Ang Lee.
Yes.
The creative genius who brought us classics like Hulk and Taking Woodstock. He is now back.
That sounds like a very bad porno, okay?
No, Taking Woodstock is about Snoopy having to go on revenge because his bird's been kidnapped.
Oh, nice.
It's a Charlie Brown spinoff.
Nice.
Gotcha.
If you're allergic to peanuts, don't go see the film.
Exactly. But yes, Ang Lee is back with a new film from 1997, Gemini Man. Now, the reason I say 1997 is I was doing a little research into this, and apparently this movie has been in production hell since 1997. Walt Disney Studios bought the script and the rights to the film.
Okay.
And they've been trying to make this since 97. And there was a time where Harrison Ford was going to be the main character, Clint Eastwood, a couple other, seasoned actors, recognizable names. And it all fell apart, and there was a bunch of different directors that came and went, and it never came to fruition because they couldn't get the de-aging effect right.
Oh, that's an interesting word.
So look, it's 97. Like, special effects were not nowhere near. The Matrix hadn't even came out yet, so they was not de-aging
on
nobody.
Something for like crazy long periods of time like that.
Well,
That's
to be
insane.
fair, it's like, people will get on, they'll start working some pre-production on it, and then it'll fall apart, and then it'll go back into limbo for a while. So it wasn't like a consistently for this entire time people have been trying to make it.
Still, that's
But,
like
yeah.
21 years from now.
But yeah, no, it's been somebody finally, another studio finally bought the rights, or a production company bought the rights from Walt Disney because they weren't going to do shit with it, and then Ang Lee came on, and they finally got the ball rolling again. So, first thing first, just looking at the trailer itself, did you guys pick up on this? But the movie looks a bit off. Like, and I don't mean like the
does.
story or the characters, but just visually, it looks weird. Now, did you guys pick up on that when you were watching it?
I did. Like, it looks like that weird Boots in the Dora movie. Weird.
Not quite, because like I said, not even the special effects. I mean, just like the film quality looks weird. Like, do you know what I mean, Benwah?
Yes and no. When I was watching the trailer, when I heard about this like a week or so ago, and when I watched the trailer, I just kept thinking, okay, Will Smith in another sci-fi film.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop-de-doo. Like, I did... So I didn't notice a lot of subtle things, but it did look weird to me. And not weird as in, oh, this is science fiction weird. It just looked weird.
Yes. And so I will tell you why it probably looked weird to you. The movie was actually filmed at an extremely high frame rate. So the average movie is filmed at about 24 frames per second. Okay. This movie was filmed at 120 frames per second.
Jesus.
With digital cameras. So it's like super high def, like ultra realistic, like filming. And it looks weird to the human eye because it's something
like
about that
3D or
overexposure.
something?
Yeah, it's going to be in 3D, being converted to 3D and some shit like that. But it's something about that overexposure of frame rates that just makes stuff look weird. Like, if you watch the Hobbit movies, Peter Jackson did that shit in Nose, where he filmed it at like a super high frame rate. And it makes everything feel odd. It's kind of like, remember when like digital cable first came around, like digital TVs, and everything looked just like kind of off?
Yeah.
You know, it was like, it was a high-end new thing, but it looked worse than like old cable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like that. And I'm sure once you watch the movie, because kind of like with The Hobbit, I had the same issue. When you start watching it, I'm sure once you settle in, you'll become used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very distracting because it's just something about the way everybody moves and just how the lighting is hitting everything. It just looks weird at that super high frame rate. I don't know what the intention is when people decide to shoot their movies at a high frame rate like that, but it just makes everything look like cheap, even though it's actually a higher quality, you know, filming technique. It makes it look cheapy, like kind of TV movie quality. I don't know. It's something weird that it does to the eye, and I don't like it.
I think it's just a matter of our brains aren't able to process information that quickly.
And honestly, it probably is. That's why I'm like, so what is this for? Because if we can't even perceive what we're seeing, then what was the point? You know, it's kind of like the Michael Bay Transformers movies. It's like, yes, he would do a bunch of cool, crazy shit and have them fight, but I don't see anything but a bunch of metal smashing together after a while. So I'm like, what was the point of this? Because I don't even know what's happening anymore.
It's like the Christopher Nolan Batmans. You can't see.
Yeah, he filmed all them super close-up fights, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure they're doing some awesome fight scenes, but I can't tell, so
like, I hear
what's
the cool
point?
noises, but
Right.
can't see nothing.
I heard a bone break. I don't know. It could have been Batman's, but I couldn't tell because you shot it so close. One of the other things in this is the future, correct? I mean, from what I got from
That's
this.
what I got, but I wasn't sure because there were...
Okay, so
like,
because me and Benwah talked about this off mic, and I'm like, why does the clone Will Smith have like a 1980s Fresh Prince high top fade? Like he just walked off the set of like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like I don't.
Well, that's
get
because
that.
this was conceived in 1997.
Oh, you know. You may have a point there. It was like, yes. He was like, if we have it to be a black man, then so what? Would he have had like that Lethal Weapon mid to late 90s mullet that fucking Mel Gibson had if he'd have been a white dude?
I guess.
Oh God!
Nope, they'd had a Billy Ray Cyrus mullet.
Oh God!
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, that's it. Signed, sealed, delivered. That's it, right there.
But yeah, the whole time I was watching the trailer, I was just like, why does he have a high top fade? I'm like, you're not born like that. I'm like, just because he's younger, it's like you purposely styled his hair like that. Like, what barber did you go to? Like, did they go to like an old actual barber shop in like Brooklyn or some shit where it's like some 90-year-old man is still doing high top fades? I don't know. Like, old school haircuts are starting to come back, so maybe they're like, in the future, everybody will have a high top fade. Like,
It's retro. Bring it back.
yeah, I guess. But one of the things that's funny about this, though, is did you guys catch the little salt and pepper that they gave Will Smith? The older Will Smith?
Oh, yeah.
Will Smith is so ageless that they had to pretend to make him look older to make the younger Will Smith look younger. Because honestly, once they chose him, that's probably why they finally got the movie off the ground. They don't need the de-aging shit. Just shave his goatee off and dye his hair maybe. Maybe he got a little bit of gray, but he don't look that much different.
No, he really doesn't.
Like, legit, he still looks the same way he did from The Fresh Prince. Like, he just is slightly older, but he don't have like a lot of crow's feet.
He's a little chubbier. That's it.
No, if anything, he's bigger. I'm like, he's more. You saw Suicide Squad. He
That's
was big
true.
as hell.
I did.
And shit, his genie is jacked.
That's true. Genie is jacked.
No, that is just weird. But I mean, yeah, like Will Smith, and he falls into that Keanu Reeves category where
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he's a
Doesn't
vampire.
age.
I can't confirm it, but I'm almost certain he's a vampire.
That's all right.
Him and who else? I would say Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise is starting to
No,
look kinda
Tom
old.
Cruise looks old.
Yeah. Who else? Ben, who's somebody else who's old but doesn't look old?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Nah,
No,
I saw Ant-Man in the
no,
watch.
no,
she's
no,
looking,
no,
she's
no,
looking
no.
a little rough.
Okay, I mean,
No,
if you want to
Nicole
put it that way,
Kidman. Nicole
if you're
Kidman
talking
was the other
Ant-Man,
one.
no, her neck gives it away. If you want to talk to somebody who's a bit older but looks younger, Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah, Paul Rudd. Yeah, that is a good
Yep.
one. Yeah,
Paul Rudd.
he still looks the same. Yeah, mostly. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's. I don't know. I mean, this could be good, I guess. I mean, the cast is good. I like Clive Owen, who's
Yep.
like the doctor who makes the clone or whatever. I enjoy Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And Will, he's had, more hits than misses. But to be fair, lately he's had more misses than hits. Because,
I'm gonna say Aladdin will be the telltale there.
yeah, Bright, from what I hear, was bad on Netflix. Suicide Squad was garbage. That movie he did with his son,
After Earth,
oh my God.
That was horrible.
He was like, "Welcome to After Earth," and then punched the alien. No. That's an Independence Day reference if nobody got that.
If you're too young to not remember Independence Day, you should definitely
Actually,
go
didn't that
check
come
it
out in 97?
Yep.
Yeah, it did.
So they've been working on this movie since Independence Day came out. Oh God.
So
I think
is the
Independence Day was in
baseline-
95.
Whatever. Either way.
No, it was 96,
No,
I believe.
yep,
Somewhere in there.
whatever.
But you said the baseline?
I think the baseline for bad Will Smith films is like, can we somehow make one worse than Wild Wild West?
Ooh.
Hey!
Oh no, that movie is trash.
I like Wild
That
Wild
movie,
West.
You might like it, but it is objectively bad.
I like that movie. I thought it was a good movie.
That movie hurt his career for a long time.
I thought it was a good movie.
Like, he didn't make another movie after Wild Wild West for a minute. Like, he was like cinematic poison after that movie. And what's bad is that it's not his fault. It's just a bad movie. He's actually pretty good in it. Him and Kevin Kline were actually a good duo, but it's a bad movie. So, yeah, no, Wild Wild West is garbage. Gabage. No R's. Garbage. Is garbage. It's hot.
I like Wild
Smelly,
Wild West.
like left out in the sun behind like a Bob Evans and shit. Like they went to throw it in the dumpster, but it didn't make it and it just hit the ground and got left there.
And they said, yeah, no,
Hot
I'm cleaning that
garbage.
shit.
Like, garbage day is Wednesday, but you put it out Thursday. Next Wednesday, there's maggots all up inside of it.
Right.
Garbage. Boston is some garbage.
Yeah, right. It's like we went to throw it in the bar, but then it fell out and it's garbage. Okay, anyway.
Let all the listeners know that this movie is scheduled for release on October 11th. So come October, if you want to see something scary for Halloween, go see Gemini Man.
I love how it's not Chucky, it's not Halloween. No, we go see Gemini Man.
Though the name does sound like it should be a horror movie. Gemini Man.
It sounds like
Like,
a lame 80s it sounds like a lame 1980s movie with a bunch of synthesizers.
No, it sounds
Well,
like a 1980s
it's like the sequel
band
to The
with a
Running
bunch of
Man.
synthesizers.
Yep, there you go.
Oh,
What you need is Michael Horton to reprise his role of Gemini from American Gladiators to be in this film.
Oh, God.
or a dance from the 1980s.
Yep.
The Gemini Man. Like
There you go.
and like a friend do the same moves together.
Yep.
So you're like twins. It's Gemini Man. Anyway.
Or it's all about horoscopes.
Right. Oh,
Let's move on to a Will Smith movie that doesn't have Will Smith in it.
fair enough.
Okay.
Moving on.
Cool beans.
For those of you who are not in the know, A high top fade is a style of haircut where hair on the sides is cut off, or kept very short while hair on the top of the head is very long. The high top was a trend symbolizing the golden age of hip-hop and urban contemporary music, during the 1980s and the early 1990s.
When we talked about this once before, we were theorizing what Tessa Thompson's character was, because I think I said she might have been an alien, because they show her like go through the weird little portal thing and the fence, and it was like, oh, I found you, and this, that, and the other, and I was like, oh, this would be an interesting take to have like a human and an alien team up in the Men in Black movies.
Yep.
Because usually it's, you know, the humans like
Against the aliens.
right, or yes, there's like aliens in the Men in Black, like
The worms.
the I guess the hierarchy of the compound or whatever. It's like, hey, there may be some secretary ones or maybe some ones that wash the windows or some shit, but no actual agents that were aliens. And I was like, that would be a cool little twist on it. But no, that's not what happened.
No.
I'm pretty sure some of the agents are aliens they show like in the background, because you do see some of the suits and stuff in the older films.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
All right. Okay.
I'm
I need to go back
pretty
and watch it.
sure that the Michael Jackson one was supposed to be an alien.
Yeah, but was he an agent though, or did he just
Yeah, he
work
was
for them?
Agent M.
Oh, whatever.
It was a very small cameo.
Okay. Well, either way, they revealed in this that Tessa Thompson's character, that she was a child, and the Men in Black, something went down, and they erased her parents' memories, and she saw it happen. And since then, it's been her life's mission to find
The Men in Black.
and she finds them, and they're like, she's basically like, look, bitch, I figured out who y'all
Like,
is.
I know what
I'm
you
here.
did. You gonna hire me, or
Right, I
I'm
need
gonna
to give me a
blab.
fucking job, right? Which, honestly, I don't know why they just wouldn't erase her memory and throw her ass back out in the street. But whatever. I'm like, I guess they needed to help or whatever. They was
Yeah,
like,
they was a little shorthanded.
it was like, Indeed's not really been working out for us, so, you know, I guess, come on. We needed another agent. I
Liam
guess.
Neeson's getting a little old, so
Right. He's getting a little long in the tooth, so we're gonna, yeah. Chris Hemsworth, he has like the typical like leading man looks, and you know, he's like masculine and like rough and tough guy, but he is secretly hilarious. Like, I think that he really excels at comedy,
He
more
really
so
does.
than anything else. Because I've seen him play more dramatic roles, you know, we've all seen him in Thor and stuff
Sure.
like that, but people didn't really start loving him as Thor until he started becoming goofy Thor. And that's the Thor that everybody prefers now.
right.
And anytime I see Chris Hemsworth in a movie, like, I didn't even care for the Ghostbusters movie, but I liked his character in it because he was funny.
I don't even think I saw the Ghostbusters movie.
No, don't. It ain't
Because
worth it.
I saw the trailer and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, it's not worth it.
Now, the new one that's coming out, I'm a little excited for that.
Yeah, we'll see.
If it's done right.
We'll see. It
Once
got
we-
kids in it.
I'll
so
say
I'm like,
once we see more about it.
Yeah. But no, but I think that Chris Hemsworth is a really good comedic actor, and I prefer to see him playing to his strength of being funny. Because most, like, you know, really handsome, really fit, like, masculine, like, alpha type, you know, actors that they put, they're kind of one note. It's just like, I'm the tough guy, and I do the manly man things, and then it's just whatever. I'm like, Chris Hemsworth can look that type, but still not take himself seriously and still be funny. And I think that's kind of his charm, is that he's goofy, and you just looking at him wouldn't get that from him.
He's like a double package. He's got the wit and the funniness, and also he's sexy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take it.
Willingly.
Right. Now, that being said, is it just me, guys, or this, I'm not.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Men in Black series franchise.
I like
Whatever.
the first one.
I like the first
The second
one.
and third one are
The
kind of.
second one was kind of pushing it, but I still like the second one. By the third one, I was just like, what?
Yeah, isn't that the one where he goes back in time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was way done by then.
I was sitting there and I was confused.
Yeah.
And I had to go back and watch it a couple times, and I was like, this isn't what I want.
Yeah, not feeling it. Though we did get a younger Josh Brolin in that.
Yeah,
Little
we did.
baby Thanos.
Baby Thanos.
I don't know. Benwah, are you a fan of the Men in Black series?
Yes and no. They do progressively get worse with every new installment. And once again, it's fallen under the same, which has now become a trope in my pew. My pew? My pew,
Right,
Pew
right.
pew.
It's becoming a trope now. Once again, Hollywood has taken a formula that worked in the past and just bringing it back.
Yep.
At least in this time, it is a true sequel and not a reboot of a franchise. But still, it's showing me a lack of creativity in Hollywood that I don't like. And on a side note, are you going to skim over the fact that Valkyrie is in this film with Thor?
No, I was going to get to that because that was one of the things that gives me hope for it, even though it doesn't look all that great, is that we have Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth back together again, and the last time we saw them together was in Thor Ragnarok, and they made a really good duo in that. And I was like, you know what? If there's any saving grace about this movie, it'll be the chemistry between them two.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I'm not...
When I first saw the trailer, I think T-Money was like, oh shit, that's Liam Neeson. I was like, oh, yeah, that's Liam Neeson. Not knocking Liam Neeson. I like Liam Neeson.
You better not knock Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson will knock you the fuck out.
I like Liam Neeson. But he's just...
Well, I don't know. You're not black, so he might not beat your ass. And you're not, like, Middle Eastern.
That's horrible.
I know. That's a deep cut.
Way to go there. But, like, I like Liam Neeson in, like, the action-y, gritty...
You like when somebody kidnaps his daughter and then he beats up half a country.
I don't think that he tries to... I don't think he's trying, but if he's playing a different role, it doesn't fit him well. You know, there are certain actors that play a certain role
but you
well.
know, to be fair, though, Liam Neeson has only, in the last,
He's a very diverse actor.
Yeah, in the last, 5-10 years, gotten to that whole action movie thing, because he's really not been that, typecast as that type of character until he did that Taken movie.
Yeah.
Then, everything he's done since then has been like that, but before that, Liam Neeson's been in a lot of different shit. And like Ben said, he's a really diverse actor. He's a good actor, but I know what you mean. They found something that works with him, and they just keep doing it. And it's like when you see him in something else now, you've gotten so used to seeing him as, the gruff, I will find you.
He was in a movie with Jodie Foster called Nell, and I liked him in that. He wasn't the rough, gruff kind of... He was like a empathetic scientist, dude.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies that he did during this whole... middle-aged, military assassin-y type character thing he's been doing. One of the movies that was, in that was a bit different was The Grey.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
The one with the wolves?
Yep.
Because in the trailer, it kind of misled you to that movie because it made it seem like it was going to be, an action-packed survival thing, but it's actually a really, somber character study about, people... trying to survive and not having really lived their life to the fullest and regret. And so it kind of reminds me of a mix of Castaway and Alive. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Where the Canadian team crashes in the mountains and shit and they have to survive. It was more of that than, fucking, I don't know.
Being chased by wolves. And
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Having
people
to live
die
in
and
the
wolves kill people and
mountains
shit, but it's more than just that, and the way it ends is actually really, really good. Listeners, if you want a out-of-the-box movie to go watch, if you have not seen The Grey with Liam Neeson, go watch The Grey. That is actually a really good movie. But yeah, other than that, with this, the whole Men in Black thing, I mean, on the whole, there are some funny bits in the trailer. I like the joke about the little alien thing, worshiping Tessa Thompson's character. I thought that was funny.
I like the part about the button where he's like, "There's a red button around here somewhere," and then it beeps the seatbelt.
Yeah, that was in the first trailer, but it's whatever because that's a running gag from all the Men in Black movies. There's always the "don't push the thing in the car," whatever. Other than that, though,
Yeah, I'm not hyped to see this.
No, my favorite things about the Men in Black movies are the creature designs, the seeing different aliens and stuff, because each movie, they have, cool, different alien types, like as the villains. And I mean, they made a cockroach the fucking villain in the first Men in Black. Like, that was cool. Like, Vincent D'Onofrio, Kingpin himself, was a cockroach alien with, like, droopy human skin for, like, the whole movie. And that was actually pretty dope. But, yeah. There's nothing that they've shown me in this to make me just go, like, wow, like, this is cool. So, I mean, I guess.
I hope they didn't put all the good parts in the trailers either.
I hope not, because there wasn't really much good in the trailer, so if the good parts are in
that's
there.
how I felt in Men in Black 3, is that they put all the good parts in the trailer, and then we got to the movie and there was nothing eventful.
No, I agree. So, Benwah, when is this one coming out?
Men in Black International will be released on June 14th. And the only character from that we know is going to make an appearance, the only character from the original Men in Blacks, and not even the original one, just the third one in the franchise who will be making a return, is Emma Thompson. So they will be tying into the original 3 films.
I have a feeling that we might get a secret cameo by Will Smith, maybe. Because at this point, I feel like he'll do anything for a paycheck. So he's got a fucking YouTube channel now. So I'm like, Will Smith,
he does.
Look, man, he just needs some money. I don't know if the IRS is after his ass or what, but
he's all them damn kids.
He's been doing a lot of shit lately where I'm just like, who is your agent? Like, who told you to do this? Like, God damn.
I don't want to see Will Smith make a cameo. I want them to just, like, stumble upon Tommy Lee Jones.
That would be cool, but Tommy Lee...
Because let's be real, he made those films.
Has him, like,
Tommy
cryolly froze, like, Han Solo or something, though.
Yeah, but Tommy Lee is kind of like Harrison Ford in the respect that he's, in real life, just grumpy as hell, and he just don't like people. And honestly, like, the fact that they got him to do that first Captain America movie, I was shocked. I was like, holy shit, y'all got Tommy Lee Jones in a superhero movie? I was like, y'all must have just...
They promised
dump
him
truck of money up in front of his house.
They promised him. They said you get to be grumpy. You don't even have to.
Oh, you could be an asshole the whole movie. He was like, I can do that.
I can do that. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know. I agree. It would be fun to see him. Just knowing how he is as a person, I don't know if he'd actually do it again. He's probably washed his hands of this shit. He's like, I'm done. He's like, the only time I'm be in another black suit is when y'all bury my motherfucking ass. He's like, I'm done with this bullshit.
And not to mention, he has not aged well.
No,
time has not been good to him.
Yeah, but he's pretty old though.
Like he's almost 80. I think.
So I mean, how well do you age after 70?
Hey, there are some.
I mean, he's rough and gruff with his afro puff.
There are some people that I take care of, and they tell me they're 95, and I have to literally look at their birthday because I don't believe them.
Like, you don't look a day over 85. Like,
I always tell them 70. Be like, you don't look a day over 70.
That's. I don't ever want to look 70. I want to be dead before I look 70.
Well, when you're 95 and somebody tells you look 70, that's a pretty good compliment.
Yeah. All right.
Can we move on?
Yes. Moving on.
Tommy Lee Jones was once asked in an interview about his time at Harvard. Jones majored in English literature. The interviewer asked him what particular area of English interested him. Jones replied, "The one we're using now."
Welcome to Benwah's Wabbit Hole. It's where I, Benwah, give you a brief synopsis of random things I found interesting on the internet. Some of these things may be further elaborated on in future podcasts, but I'd recommend you dig deeper for yourself if you're interested.
The views and opinions expressed in the Wabbit Hole are those of Benwah's and Benwah's alone, and do not necessarily reflect the position of any member, affiliate, or future sponsor, despite us not having any, of the One Giant Leap for Geeks podcast.
If you have an Android phone and use Google Chrome, be careful. You may notice that when you scroll down a page, the address bar disappears. This may be a vulnerability which allows hackers to phish private information. If you scroll down and continue to see what appears to be the proper URL in an address bar, it's probably a fake inception bar, so don't click it. Now, scrolling back up a page is meant to show you the real address bar, but this trick can fool users into thinking they're fine when they're really not, as the inception bar may override the real address bar in code. This inception bar will work like a regular address bar, but it will actually take you to a browser within a browser, which then tracks input data, including passwords, account, and other personal information. At the moment, the only way that I'm aware of that might save the user is to lock and then unlock your phone, which should theoretically reveal the real address bar over the fake so that you can close the main browser. Now, this could potentially be a vulnerability in other mobile browsers, so just pay attention to how your phone normally acts so you can recognize abnormal behaviors. That's going to confuse some people. Drama club students from North Bergen High School in New Jersey caught Hollywood's attention with their stage adaptation of the film Alien. The play, aptly titled Alien the Play, quickly went viral thanks to its complex production, set designs, and costumes using mainly recycled materials. Ridley Scott, director of the original film, was so impressed that he donated $5,000 for an encore performance of the show. Not just that, but the real Ripley herself, Sigourney Weaver, surprised the students with an appearance full of praises for the teenagers and staff who took part in the production. If you're curious to see this production, the trailer is available for viewing on YouTube as well as the full play itself. You should watch it. Are you a fan of Prince like me? You may happen to know more songs of his than you realize, as he's written or co-written many songs that were more famously performed by other artists. Well, thanks to Troy Carter and Jay-Z, on behalf of Prince's estate, what would have been Prince's 61st birthday, June 7th, will see the release of the album Originals, a 15-track LP featuring 14 previously unreleased recordings by the Man in Purple. Now, to reiterate, these 14 tracks will be songs Prince worked on but had given to other artists, so you will know some, if not all of them already. For the first 2 weeks after its release, the album will be available to stream on Tidal, with it being available to download a week after its debut, and it should only be a matter of time before it's released in a physical format. Speaking of Prince, apparently Nicolas Cage is a self-proclaimed superfan of the legend and has recently spent a few drunken nights giving patrons his rendition of Purple Rain at karaoke bars, with each performance getting angrier and angrier.
It's time we all reach out for something new. That means you too.
Yeah.
You say you want a leader, but you can't even make up your mind. I think you better close it and let me guide you. With you the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain.
Woo!
Purple rain. Another man cause you any pain. I only want him one time.
This all seems to have sprung from a highly intoxicated, impulsive Vegas wedding. Now, is Nicolas Cage becoming Ben Sanderson? Probably not, but I kind of feel bad for the guy. Not about the Purple Rain bit, because who hasn't done drunk karaoke? Hell, I have. But the man clearly has some issues he's going through right now, so best of luck to you, Mr. Cage. Nowadays, we have Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, YouTube TV, etc. Well, come November 12th, Disney plans to launch Disney Plus in the US with a whole bunch of content straight out of the gate. I'm not going to list everything they're promoting thus far, but I will hit you up with a few things. It will be including all 13 Signature Collection films, over 5,000 episodes of Disney Channel TV shows, 18 Pixar movies, and every one of the 30 seasons of The Simpsons. Disney will, of course, be producing original programming for the streaming service as well, but whether or not it'll be available right away, I don't know at this point. Once again, Disney Plus will be launching on November 12th in the United States only. It'll be going for $7 a month or $70 a year, and it is planned to be released in other markets, but there are no scheduled dates available for the public at this time. As if Avengers Endgame couldn't be any bigger, it proved to be indeed a blockbuster, as within its opening weekend alone, it amassed $350 million in North America and $1.2 billion worldwide. 80% of all tickets domestically went to the latest Marvel film, breaking its previous record of $100 million domestic and $560 million worldwide held by Avengers Infinity War. While the Avengers continue to have the biggest openings in history, already taking the number 18 spot on the list of largest box office gross, Endgame is also on track to be in the 5th film to make over $2 billion. Only 4 films have made over $2 billion, and those include Avengers Infinity War at $2,048 million, Star Wars The Force Awakens at $2,068 million, Titanic at $2.1 billion, and Avatar at $2.7 billion. And Endgame is going to break $2 billion at some point. It definitely will. At a bet. Now, Endgame is going to break $2 billion at some point. It's just a matter of time when, so place your bets. And also, if you've seen the film, don't fucking spoil it for other people, okay?
And now back to your regularly scheduled podcast. If only we could all have as much dedication and passion as Nicolas Cage does while drunkenly singing Purple Rain, the world would be a better place.
It's that time again for America's #1 show, Dumb Shit of the Week. That's right, Dumb Shit of the Week is a show where DJ Melly Mel finds dumb shit and we talk about it. Want your submission on the show? Find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now here's your host, DJ Melly Mel.
All right, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have outdone myself once again. Hopefully it's a little more involved and more appreciated than the Easter butts.
Wait. We appreciated the Easter butt. It subverted our expectations. At least mine. I thought it was going to be an Easter egg inside the butthole. That's what, when I hear Easter butts, that's what I think.
Nasty.
I did too. I thought like the egg was going to be positioned in between the butt cheeks.
God.
Like a golf ball on its
Y'all are just ridiculous. This week's dumb shit comes from thesun.com, and it's titled Hybrid Theory. Okay. Oxford University professor claims that aliens... Notice a trending theme on the show here today. Oxford University professor claims that aliens are already breeding with humans on Earth. Yeah, so let that sink in here. This guy feels that there are aliens among us, and they are already breeding with humans.
Wait, now you said he's a professor?
Yes, at Oxford University.
Like
a professor.
Legit.
The Korean academic has written a book called Alien Visitations and the End of Humanity.
What has happened to Oxford?
Dr. Young-hae Chi, an instructor in Korean at Oxford's...
Young-hae C? What?
Wait. So he's a professor of, like, the Korean language.
Sure. He's a Korean professor who teaches Korean at Oxford University.
And he wrote a book about alien human hybrid babies.
Yes.
The fuck? Okay.
And part of the prestigious university. Oh, so he's part of the prestigious University of Oxford.
Well, yeah, he works at Oxford. Yeah.
He thinks that this new species will save Earth from annihilation and climate change.
Oh, are they going to be like the X-Men?
He believes that alien-human hybrids already exist.
Okay.
And he's mentioned this in a lecture in 2012 and has now written the book on it. So he's been thinking about this for a long time.
Wait, so was the lecture about this, or was he giving a lecture on like the Korean language and then just went off on a tangent about alien babies?
I assume that he was talking about the alien babies and now he wrote a book about it.
In my mind, I want to believe that it was a totally separate subject and he just kind of like... Oh, and by the way, alien-human hybrid children exist, and they will save us from an intergalactic war and climate change.
Right. Someone's been watching
now back to Korean.
Someone's been watching too much Men in Black here.
I guess.
He says that he believes there's a strong correlation between climate change and alien abductions.
Or CO2 emissions? that wasn't a good enough answer for you?
His book, which is written in Korean.
Well, at least he's not a climate change denier.
Yeah, that's true. His book is called Alien Visitations and the End of Our Humanity.
Okay.
He says that he has identified 4 different types of aliens. Small, tall, bold, and scaly with snake eyes. And then, of course, insect-like.
Oh, well, of course, the cockroach from Men in Black.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes.
So mantises and lizard
Yes,
people.
yes, yes.
That's what I got from that, too, yeah.
Dr. Chi believes that the insect aliens may be in charge and give orders to the other types. The aliens exist in their own biosystem that humans cannot experience because our perception is limited by our organs. Now, these are all his claims.
Okay.
And he says, as the aliens are said to be highly intelligent, Dr. Chi believes that they could solve the problems of Earth in the future, such as things like climate change. So they come not for the sake of us, but for the sake of them. Their survival is actually our survival. The survival of the entire biosphere. Dr. Chi says he was still looking for more evidence to support his view. His initial lecture, Alien Abduction and Environmental Crisis, is outlined in his book. So there you go. There's your answer. He wasn't talking about Korean.
Number 1 on Amazon, New York Times, number 1 best-selling book.
He was talking about alien abduction and
My Alien
environmental
Baby Mama.
crisis. And he cited an abduction researcher in the U.S. who has argued that aliens' primary purpose is to colonize the planet by interbreeding with humans to produce new hybrid species.
Why, though?
I
Because
don't know.
Every time, okay, hear me out. Every time I hear conspiracy theories about alien-human hybrids, the first thing I think is, why? Because he even says that we can't even perceive them and their perception of what reality is because of our limitations as humans. So why would you want to breed with an inferior species?
I don't know.
Like,
Your
this
guess
isn't
is as good as mine.
This isn't Dragon Ball Z. Goku, a Saiyan, is not gonna breed with Chi-Chi, a human, and then have like a superhuman Saiyan baby Gohan. Like, it don't work like that. It would be like taking, I don't know. I mean, like even think about breeds of dogs. Like, if you have
Right.
like a higher purebred dog and you breed it with a mutt, you're not gonna have a super breed that comes out of that. Like, it's
Super mutt.
right. It's an inferior species. Like, if we can't even perceive reality on the same way, what do they gain by fucking us?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. I
and,
don't know.
And that's my other thing too with this whole alien human baby shit. If they look like insects and lizard people and whatever the fuck else, do they even like titties? Like, what? Like what about the human?
I don't know.
Biology would they even be attracted to, or is it just strictly like, I don't like doing this. This is just for the survival of the planet.
It's probably
so
more along those
let
lines.
me pull my cockroach dick out and fuck this white bitch over here. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. The article continues and says, Dr. Chi believes aliens appear on Earth when the planet is facing significant problems such as climate change or nuclear war. It may
So
be,
where were they during the Cold War?
Apparently, they were around
JFK
somewhere.
and Fidel Castro and whoever the Russian leader was back then? Were they all like,
Gorbachev.
yeah,
Yep,
alien
yep.
human
That's got to be it.
hybrids, and that's how we get out the Cold War?
Yep, that's got to be it. He
Did
says,
an alien human hybrid assassinate Kennedy?
"Oh, now we
He
know."
shot Lincoln.
Yep, you got it. It said he more or less assumed that the hybrid project is a response to the impending demise of human civilization. Basically, this guy's full of a bunch of shit.
And who is this guy again?
He's
He's
a
a doctor
professor of
at
Korean
Oxford
at-
University.
Yeah.
His
Oxford.
name is Dr. Young-Hae Chi.
Because even for the sake of this segment, I don't want to humor this bullshit. Not on the merits of it being bullshit on itself, but I'm familiar with The Sun. It's a fucking British tabloid.
Yeah.
It's like a subsidiary of fucking Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah,
shit.
it's
far right tabloid sensational crap.
Yeah, it's what is our equivalent to
The
that?
National
Enquirer?
Enquirer.
Yeah, it's on the level of some shit like that. Yeah, but
and this all, like, the fact that this is supposedly some doctor from Oxford, like, I don't know, this is Like, it's just sending off flags like anti-intellectual crap. So it's somebody who's supposedly super intellectual or super educated coming up with bullshit. Like, no.
And that's what's funny about it, too, is, like, I would even give it more credence if the guy was, like, an astrophysicist or a biologist or had any kind of professional experience in anything he's talking about.
Okay, here you go.
Like, you're a language professor. Like, why are you even talking about this?
The New York Post has articles about this guy.
New York Post is also right-wing
But
crap,
at the same time, no, regardless of where the source
more,
is, the guy exists. Like,
oh no,
yeah,
definitely.
He's out here spreading his bullshit. So I'm like, I don't even.
What? Not necessarily. What does the Post say about it?
I clicked off of it because you was like, oh, the Post.
Well, no. I mean, the Post is it's bad, but not as bad as this.
Okay. The Post says the search of signs for intelligent life in the universe may have to skip Oxford University. A spacey professor, at the austere British institution claims bug-like aliens walk among us and says that they are very close to having encounters with humans, interbreeding to create a new hybrid species to save Earth from disasters.
Either way, like, the logic behind it doesn't make sense to me.
No, not at all.
Every time I hear that kind of shit, I'm like, why? Okay, for one, why would you breed with a lesser species? That's not going to make a superior species than your current one. Second, why would you? What would that even do? Like, to help stop climate change or fight intergalactic wars or something? Can't they just do that on their own? They don't need mutt alien babies to do that for them. Like, that doesn't. And even if they could make a Super Saiyan Gohan, Goku Chi-Chi baby hybrid, that would not do anything for decades until they could grow and learn and be able to actually implement anything. So unless they've been here for the last, 30 years doing this shit, these kids wouldn't serve no purpose unless they're having a bunch of X-Men Storm babies who are gonna just fix the ozone layer.
I don't know. The whole point was I thought that the whole thing was stupid and garbage.
Oh no, it is dumb as shit.
It's stupid.
This is that flat Earth kind of logic going on. At least he doesn't deny climate change. I'll give him that.
That's
I mean,
true.
if nothing else, props for that. I'm shocked.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's funny that all this stuff seems to go down when there's a lot of tension in the world or climate change is happening. Because it's only going to make his cause, it's only going to make climate change and all that shit seem fucking, he's talking about climate change, now there's aliens, so yeah.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And the fact that the Post, both the New York Post and the Sun are both fucking right-wing crap, sensational tabloids. And then you went and said Chi-Chi and I from Dragon Ball Z, and I got remembering the old Chi-Chi's restaurant. My brain's all over the place right now.
I bet.
Remember Chi-Chi's?
Yeah, I remember
Chi-Chi's?
Yeah, I remember Chi-Chi's, yeah. No, the thing that's funny too.
Well, apparently the UFO, ET, and alien abduction following is giving credit to this guy.
Well, yeah, because he's a professional something. He has a PhD in something, so they're like, oh look, this professor said. It's yeah, but he's a professor of fucking language arts and shit. Yeah, it's he has no professional experience in anything to do with what he's talking about. It's kind of when it bothers me when people use that quote from Einstein that the definition of insanity is doing something repeatedly, expecting a different result each time.
I don't even think that's a true quote from him. I think that's Mandela effect right
But
there.
either way, even if he did say that, I'm Einstein was a physicist.
Right.
He is not a psychologist. He don't know shit about psychology. I'm
right.
just because you're smart in one thing doesn't make you smart in everything.
Correct.
So it's this guy, he may be the best fucking Korean professor on the face of the earth. That does not give him any merit to talk about anything to do with anything scientific
or science fiction
or aliens or any of that shit. So I'm the moment you were I was wait, so is he's a Korean professor?
Mm-hmm.
His nationality is Korean and he
Yes.
teaches Korean?
Yes.
I was oh, okay, then yeah, all right. I was that. immediately was like, okay, yep, nope, this is bullshit.
How about the Huffington Post, Ben? Is that...
No.
Huffington Post is not a tabloid. They're like
they're more left.
They're like they're left centrist.
Okay, well, there's an article on the
left-centrist.
Huffington Post about him.
Yeah, but either way, though.
And it's basically saying the same shit.
Yeah, but like
so
I said,
he went out somewhere and is literally believing this.
Oh, no. Okay, well, then this guy probably does literally believe this.
Yeah, it's...
Neither one of those three publications I consider credible enough to say, okay, it's giving this guy a platform to really spread his bullshit. Thank fucking goodness. Like, once you get, like, once you end up with, like, CNN or the Washington Post.
Yeah, I was going to say the Washington Post.
Well, no, you know what? Once, well, they're both considered, they're both kind of considered.
Yeah, they're pretty left. Yeah.
Like, once NPR says something, they'll be like, oh, shit.
No, I was going to say, honestly, he doesn't even need them as platforms to get his message out there. Get on...
No, just do what B.O.B. did. Take a fucking photo of the earth and say there's no
Exactly,
curve.
right. Get on Instagram, get on Twitter. That's how you're going to get people to buy into your bullshit. But
yeah, the same way, what's his nut fucking spoiled Endgame.
Exactly. But my thing is, now, it may be an article of one of those publications, or it may not be, but at no point does he give what his evidence of this is.
No, he just said he has to further investigate.
So, but that's the thing. It's like
nobody's going to give him funding for that.
In science, you have to have something to base your hypothesis off of, and then you
need to have a control.
Right.
You
You then
size,
test
you have
that.
peer reviews.
It's like, so
you got to test it multiple
he
times.
has nothing to base it off of to begin with. So it's like you're just pulling shit out of your ass, and it's like now I have to go find evidence to support the thing that I think already.
Yep.
Like it's what is that term I'm trying to think of, Ben? It's the something bias.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like verification bias, something to that. But it's like I already believe this thing, so now I gotta go find shit to prove the thing I already believe.
I'm only going to find information that proves this. I'm not going to look at anything that denies this.
Oh man, it's kind of like those flat earthers who spent like $20,000 on a high-tech gyroscope and it didn't give them the result they wanted to prove them wrong, and they're like, oh, we got to keep doing other stuff.
Yeah, it's like
it's a mess. It's an issue with the microscope.
Verification bias.
You know what though? Shout out to Oxford though, because I don't know how I could still, me personally, I could not let you be a staff member of my college.
I'd be like, yeah.
Like if this was my community college or something, I'd be like, whatever, just let him do his thing.
Right.
But this is Oxford, and you got this motherfucker going around. Now, granted, he may not be in his classes talking about this kind of shit, but I'm just like,
no, but he did go to a paper.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, dude, like that's not a good look for us.
There was part of the article that said he went to the local school newspaper, the Oxford paper that they put out, and they did a report about him.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I feel bad, because even if somebody at the newspaper's like, this guy's fucking crazy, let's exploit him, you're still going to publicize him and give him a little bit of extra credibility, which we cannot do with the crazies.
Yeah, no.
Ignore the crazy.
It's like, don't feed the trolls. Like, don't give him anything.
Yeah.
But again, so for anyone who has theories like this, say, for example,
don't tweet them to me, please.
Yeah, for example,
tweet them to Ben.
If you take, if you take a new bottle of ketchup and a 8-month-old bottle of ketchup, mixing it together doesn't make better ketchup. If anything, you are degrading the good ketchup that you mixed in with the bad ketchup. So the next time somebody says, "Oh, aliens are breeding with humans," why? It would not make a superhuman or okay. At best, it would make a superhuman. At worst, it would make a dumb alien. So it's like, what is the win there? Like, I don't get it. Like, we made humans better, but our species took a step down? Like, I don't know. And again, do alien lizard people like titties? Like, I don't even, like, what, is that just like...
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
like
that's
titties,
fair.
Though?
I just actually saw an article
Everybody loves
saying
titties.
that. No, because even gay dudes, they might not
Even
like
gay dudes like
them
tits.
sexually, but I think they appreciate them.
They're
Good.
down with tits.
They're like, yeah, titties, they're nice. Whatever.
You feed your baby.
And pets can be like tits.
Right, it fills out your sweater,
Right.
Oh No, this, you know what? This probably didn't go the way you thought it was.
I had another story.
But.
And honestly, the time that we spent discussing the validity of this guy, I probably could have just, kicked out the other story.
Either way. It is better
I
than
just
the
love
egg
how
one,
it-
though.
Okay.
The Easter
I
egg.
have
I'll give you
successfully
that.
been, reclaimed my title
vindication. There you
here.
go.
Yes.
It seemed dumb shit was meant just to be kind of like a humorous take on weird things that we don't understand or can't make sense of because they just don't make sense. But it's become more of us like dissecting everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I kind of like.
I was gonna say I think
It works.
It's part of our over analyzing everything. Because just wait till we get to the movie review. It's especially when it's not, because I know that there's some we've done where it's just been like just straight up just goofy weird shit like the cheese hill rolling thing or glitter tits and just shit like that.
Disco butts.
Right, and then there's other ones like this where it's just like, I'm trying to understand the thought process behind this.
And it ain't working.
And I swear.
That's what classifies it under dumb shit, though. Because it is so far-fetched and so crazy out there that 3 people cannot bring their brains together to comprehend what this one person is smoking.
And not only that, another notch in the why would aliens ever want to breed with humans belt.
He's still on that.
Humans snort condoms, glue their dicks shut, and set themselves on fire. Why would you want to breed with that? What good comes out of that for your species?
I don't know. Why do humans want to breed with that?
Well, we don't have a choice. I mean, bestiality is illegal, so you...
Okay, how many educated people do we have in this world? And you're gonna pick the dumb motherfucker who's snorting condoms and licking his own boogers.
Well, hopefully that's not... Hey, speed dating, you never know, so...
I'm just saying you can say no.
Nobody puts that in their Tinder bio, so I'm just saying, you don't find that out until after you've put your dick in them. Then you're like, oh, they are crazy.
I would say, first of all, you should find that out before you put your dick in them. I do not have a dick, but I would just think that before I let somebody put their dick in me, I'm gonna figure out whether or not, they're snorting condoms and...
Well, how do you go about that, though? Because at your first date conversation...
Have you ever done anything stupid?
Right.
Example, snort condoms, set yourself on fire.
Right, the Bird Box Challenge. Like, I just got a list of things I need you to check off here for me, if you could, please.
Maybe I'm just too picky, but I'm somebody that's going to ask them kind of questions.
If not wanting to be with somebody who snorts condom makes you picky, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm just saying.
I think you could do worse.
I'm that kind of person. I will ask these questions.
Right, it's like, call me high maintenance, but if you set your dick on fire, I don't want to be with you.
No.
Sorry.
No. So that is gone on longer than I expected.
Oh, no. That was fun.
That's our dumb shit for this week.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has any thought on our dumb shit, our process, or how I come up with things, or if they want to question my sources, they can always email the show, officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can try to catch me on Twitter at FroggyBeaver. So stay smart, kids.
A tree is more closely genetically related to you than an extraterrestrial alien. An alien is so far removed from you genetically that breeding with a tree is more plausible. Even if you did a lot of lab work to make it possible, the child would be so far removed from both parents that it would be its own species, virtually unrelated to either party.
We saw a movie, and it was 11 years in the making, 21 prior films to get to this point. It was 3 hours long, and I really had to pee, but I held it in.
I made it.
So if you can't guess, us, along with probably every other movie / geek / pop culture / just regular run-of-the-mill podcast, is going to talk about Avengers Endgame. Now, the plan was to have my own little Avengers team assembled to talk about the movie, but work and life kind of got in the way, so you just get me and good old DJ Melly Mel. But
if that's not good enough.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like character says in the movie. It's like, you wanted more? It's like, oh, well, maybe.
Hey, T-Money and A-Train, they were not able to join us.
Yeah, but that being said, though, we're still going to do our best. Now, if you have not joined us for one of our movie reviews, we will be doing... It's going to be a little bit different than when we did Infinity War. Infinity War, we just spoiled it from the very beginning. Like, there's really not a way to talk about this without spoiling it either. So, be forewarned, this is a spoiler review, but we are going to do it mullet style. So, we're going to do non-spoilers in the front, spoilers at the back. So, if you have not seen Avengers Endgame... it made like $1 billion over the weekend, so I'm assuming you did, but if you didn't, you can listen to it. We will give you a clear point where we go into spoilers, and you can just jump out then, hop back in once you've seen the movie. Or if you have seen it, then just stay for the whole thing. But if you haven't seen it, do not let us or anybody on the internet spoil it for you. It is something to be experienced. You will definitely get a lot of surprises in it, and I would hate to spoil it for somebody who hasn't seen it. So, again, we will let you know we're going to spoil it, so you have been warned.
I think that our movie reviewing technique has evolved since Infinity War.
Yeah. It was a year ago, so yeah.
I like it.
So, that being said, we have been so spoiled that I don't even think we, like, as a society, even realize what we just witnessed. Because, like I said in my little song at the beginning, never before in history, and maybe never again in our lifetimes at least, have we been able to experience a continuous, over a decade-long franchise of films come to a climactic conclusion. Like, there's franchises that have been ongoing periodically. Like, people will bring up stuff like, James Bond, but those movies come out every 3-4 years, maybe, if you're lucky.
Right.
The actors are constantly changing, or like Mission Impossible or something like that, where it's like, it's very sporadic and you're never quite sure when you're going to get another one. This has been a consistent 1 to 2, sometimes even 3 movies a year for the last 11 years. Like, they have not taken a break, and they have kept a through line of ongoing stories and mostly the same actors for this entire time. I think the only actor change we got was Edward Norton from The Hulk to Mark Ruffalo, and Don Cheadle replaced Terrence Howard as War Machine. But other than that, it's been the same actors this whole time going forward. And they've been consistent. Now, people argue that the Marvel movies have a formula, like they're all the same thing, blah, 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 the heroes are always going to win. That's pretty much every movie. Like,
I would say, did you not see Infinity War?
But
Thanos won.
True, that was like kind of the breaking of the mold. But I'm like, in general, like, every movie, if you've seen one action movie, you've seen them all. If you've seen one romantic comedy, you've seen them all. Like, they all hit the same beats. So when people try to point that out in Marvel movies, it bothers me, because I'm like, do you not watch movies? Like, there's this thing called storytelling. There's like, a structure. There's a 3-act structure to movies.
Right.
I'm like, you have the build up, the inciting incident, and then the climax and conclusion. Like, this is how these things go.
It's like writing papers.
The bad guy always loses.
Exactly.
Like, that's how it goes. Like, I don't know what else you want. Like, what do you expect? Anyway, first and foremost, congratulations to Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers, the entire cast and crew of these, up to this point, 22 films. Like, they pretty much did the impossible. Like when Iron Man 1 came out and we got the little stinger with Sam Jackson's Nick Fury at the end, I don't even think Kevin Feige had this idea, but I don't think even he knew where this would end up 11 years later. Like this.
I would say the only thing that I can kind of compare it to is like the Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah, and even that didn't go that long ago.
Like I said, kinda. Not. I mean, it's.
And even with that though, those
Harry
books
Potter's
had already
not,
been written.
Yeah, Harry Potter's not pulling the numbers that.
No.
Marvel's getting.
But not only that, but they follow the same character throughout all the movies. Like these are like a bunch of different characters that they seem to somehow weave together and still make it work. Like the fact that this didn't fall flat on its face under its own weight is an accomplishment in and of itself. Now, I'm not going to just completely come all over the movie. I'm going to come a lot, but not the entire time, because there are some issues I do have with the story. That being said, though, the fact that they were able to conclude this in a satisfying way and it not just be a shit show and turn into like Justice League, like, is an accomplishment. Like, I was shocked. By the time it was over, I was like, they did it. Like, I was not sure how it was going to turn out, but they did it. So kudos to you guys. Across the board, I think everyone did a fantastic job with their performances. They even made Captain Marvel, who I was not that hot about, not so boring in this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate the Captain Marvel movie. I gave it a meh, but it's not good. It's okay at best, and I know that Brie Larson is a good actress. She won an Oscar, so she's got to be worth something.
Right.
But I feel she's really kind of flat, and she doesn't, not that she can't, but she doesn't give me what I need charismatically to make me care about her character. So when she does stuff, I'm just like, oh, she did a cool fight thing, and her powers are cool, but her as a character, I'm just kind of like,
meh.
Like, what did you think? Like, did you have any standout characters in the movie or actors that, maybe didn't get a lot of shine in the previous movies that came to the forefront in this one? Because I have one in particular. Without spoiling it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of people that kind of, like, they reminded me that they existed.
Okay.
When they come out in this.
Okay.
Like, they come out and they had a part, and I was like, oh, shit, yeah, I forgot about you.
Okay.
And not to say that their part was extremely huge or...
Sure.
But the little screen time that they did get, it was a good delivery.
And you can say who you're talking about. Just don't,
Right. Well, I really thought that Pepper was definitely someone who has been overlooked previously.
Okay, fair enough.
And she had a small role.
Okay, fair enough.
And then also, I thought that Valkyrie had a good... I mean, we saw her in the Thor movies and Ragnarok, but that's really it.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't really seen much screen time of her. And we didn't see much of her in Endgame, but I did think that she had... a good delivery. And then Nebula.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the best that I've seen Nebula.
I would agree with that. They really developed her a lot in Guardians 2, but I really enjoyed her character arc in this.
I did, and I thought that it showed a side of her that I was like, oh, hey, yeah, I forgot about you, kind of thing.
For me, they made me give a shit about Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Like, I have never... Of all the weak links in the Avengers team, Black Widow and Hawkeye were always kind of like down at the bottom for me. I like Black Widow more, but I'm kind of like, they don't really need you. But it's like, hey, I'm like...
She's got tits.
Well, no, not just
that.
I mean, it is Scarlett Johansson, but no, it's not just that. I like her as a character. Hawkeye, he never really did anything for me as a character in a fight scene. The first Avengers, it was like, oh, it was cool, did little trick shots with the arrows, but other than that, I'm like, he's fucking Arrow. I'm like, whoa. But they made me give a shit about Hawkeye in this, and that in and of itself is an accomplishment.
I think this is my favorite performance of Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, for sure, hands down.
Because he wasn't in Endgame
Or
a
Infinity
lot.
War.
Or yeah, that's what I mean. Infinity War. He wasn't in Infinity War a lot.
No, he wasn't in Infinity War at all.
No, that's right. He wasn't.
Yeah.
It was,
That's what everybody's saying. Like, where the fuck was
Ultron.
Hawkeye?
Age of Ultron. Is what it is.
That's what cracked me up about people talking about Infinity War. Like, where was Hawkeye? Like, oh, if we only had Hawkeye, we would have defeated Thanos.
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up. And another one who has been in a few of these movies but never really got a whole lot of shine.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to War Machine.
Yeah.
They gave him shit to do in this movie, and I was like, thank you, because Don Cheadle just been standing around like, I'm just collecting the paycheck, I guess, because I'm like...
Walk in and shoot a few things.
Yeah, because he popped up like once towards the tail end of Age of Ultron for that fight scene, and he was at the little dinner party thing where they're trying to lift a hammer and shit, but other than that, Don Cheadle ain't got shit to do in these movies. His biggest, like, shining point was in Iron Man 2 when they have the fight against all the little robot machines and shit.
You have a big gun. You are not the big gun.
Right. And he got a little bit to do in Iron Man 3, but not really. And they kind of just forgot he existed other than that. And I was like, shout out to War Machine. They gave him some shit to do.
They did. I was impressed. I'll go with you on that.
Yeah. And then another one that I was surprised at how much they did with his character and what he felt like. Of all the characters, he felt like he grew the most to me was Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Because he has some, like, dramatic moments in this with other characters where it was like he actually emoted and cried and was serious in some points. I mean, he was still the comic relief, but they actually did shit with him that made me go like, okay, he's more than just the goofy kind of...
The goofy cousin that, everybody
he's like
the
the Earth's version of Star-Lord. He's like the goofy fuck-up, but he still saves the day and shit. But they actually made me give a shit about Ant-Man. And I was like, you know what? Shout out to Ant-Man. Good job.
I'll go with that.
Now, in this, one of the fascinating things about this is that compared to Infinity War is... I understand why they didn't want to call this Infinity War Part 2.
Right.
Because they are two very different movies.
Very different.
They all revolve around the same conflict and trying to come to the same resolution and the same main villain, but the tones are totally different, and there's a lot of focus more on the Avengers in this than Thanos, whereas in Infinity War,
it was all Thanos.
The Avengers were like more supporting characters, and it was Thanos' movie.
Right.
One of the things that I can say maybe people could maybe kind of complain about is the fact that Infinity War is a more clean story where it's like from start to finish, it's like, okay, we know what the goal is, and it's just stop Thanos from getting the stones. And so from the beginning to the end, that's the whole movie. There's a lot of different layers to this movie where there's different things going on in the first act. It's almost like you're getting like 3 movies in one. Like each act feels like it's its own little mini movie. They make it work together as a whole, but you could sit, like when this comes out on Blu-ray, you can sit and just watch this in sections and feel like you just watched 3 separate movies.
Right.
The beginning is its own thing with, and I mean, I guess this is a minor spoiler, but I mean, the main focus of the first act is the fallout of Infinity War and the repercussions that movie had and how everyone's dealing with, what happened after everybody got snapped away.
Right.
And then the second act, it's a totally separate thing. And then by the third act, it's a whole other movie by then. So it's like, it feels a little disjointed a little bit, but they make it work. Like once one story section ends, they're done with that thing, and now they're on to the next thing. So it's not like they're still kind of bleeding over shit from Act 1 and Act 2 and Act 2 and Act 3. It's like, okay, we're done with this. Now we're doing this thing. And now we're done with that. And now we finna go do this shit.
To handle our business. 1, 2, and 3. Boom, boom, boom.
I was a little apprehensive, though, the closer that we got to the film. Like, regardless of how they ended up doing it, I was just worried that it would take away from the impact of Infinity War by undoing the snap. Like they not only gave us a satisfying conclusion though to Infinity, the whole Infinity Saga is what they're calling it, but they didn't render the ending of Infinity War pointless.
Right.
Because my worry was the whole movie, even without spoiling anything, that they're going to undo what Thanos did. Somehow, some way, they're going to undo it. How they went about it is what I was worried about, because I just didn't want them to do some shit where it was just like, and it was like it never happened. And it's like, well, if you do that, you take away all the gravity of watching your characters disappear and having that effect of the Avengers losing.
Right.
If you just undo it. Or not necessarily undo it, but just make it like it never happened.
Right.
And they don't do that. They resolve it, but not in the way that I thought that they were going to. And I was really satisfied with that. Because I was like,
too.
If they just go like, and then Thanos never got the Infinity Stones, then it's like, well, then you just pretty much erased that whole movie like it never even went down. And I was like, Infinity War is a good movie because they lose at the end.
Right.
So if you just make it null, then it's like, well, what was the fucking point?
Well, we'll just skip watching Infinity War and
right,
go straight
to Endgame, yeah, because Infinity War didn't happen. But
it's like Age of Ultron.
Don't do that. Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, you can skip Age of Ultron and still pretty much know what's going on.
Pretty much, but
for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean,
but,
there's a couple parts where you're like,
sure, but that's one of the cool points about this movie too, is that they remind you why you love these movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fan service in this. There's a lot of callbacks to other events that happened in the prior movies. It's really masterful how they wrote this, and wrote it in such a way where they give you a story unto itself, but they also find a way to make the story remind you why you love these movies, and give you the fan service that you want as a fan, but still making it a part of the story.
Right. Nothing extraneous.
Yeah, and that, I was really surprised at how they did that. Other than that, I mean, the movie is beautiful to look at. It's fun, it's dramatic, it's funny, it's surprising a lot, because there's a lot of times where I was like, oh, okay, I know what they're going to do, and then something would happen. I'm like, holy shit, like, I did not see that coming at all.
Mm-hmm.
There is stuff in this movie I never expected to see. Like, and there's things that they've hinted at in the past movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I talked about with Age of Ultron specifically. There's things that happen in that is hinted at, but you never go like, oh, okay, that was just a thing for that, but they're not going to actually do anything with that. And then they come around to this, and it finally comes to fruition, and it's like, holy shit. Like, I can't even describe without spoiling it. Like, there are just character beats and moments of just awe where I was just like, I never thought that they'd do that.
I think we should tell everybody to go see Endgame.
Yes, for sure.
And, maybe multiple times. I think we should give our rating and then jump in,
yes,
because this is it's
difficult to talk
killing
about.
Me. Yeah, it's killing me.
No, but you're right. I think I wanted to say though that the movie is not perfect. There are some things that I have issues with, but overall, it was so satisfying that I couldn't let those things detract from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some plot holes. I
only found a few things that had me kind of like...
That's fair. And like I said, overall, 90% of the movie is great.
Yeah.
But there are things, especially because of some of the mechanics of the story, where I was like, I don't know. And there is one in particular, which I talked about the moment the movie was over, because I was like, if it wasn't for this X thing happening, there would be no movie.
Right.
And that X thing, I call bullshit on from like the first 10 minutes of the movie. But we're going to get there. That being said, go see the movie. See it multiple times if you need to. But, again, don't let us or anybody else spoil it for you. You need to see this play out for yourself on the big screen. It
if
is
not for
definitely
anything except for a 11-year satisfaction.
Yes.
Like
this movie is, they should have called it Avengers Cum Shot. because the whole movie is just a big orgasm.
I do really want to go get all the movies.
Yeah.
And take a week and like watch them a couple per day.
Yeah, and
in the order that they should be watched.
Yeah.
So that you can follow things. I really want to do that.
And that's what's so beautiful about this movie is that they make you want to go back. They made me appreciate other movies that I didn't really even like all that much. And I was like, you know what? They found a way to make X movie. Like, there's one in particular that most fans don't care for.
Mm-hmm.
That they made that movie relevant again. And I was like, wow, like that is fascinating that y'all was able to do that. That being said, though, we're going to go ahead and give our rating.
I think that should be our plan for this summer. We
Yeah.
should take a week sometime this summer and sit down and watch all 22.
Yep. Well, shit, if it's the summer, shit, it might be 23 because Far From Home will be out by then, too, but still.
Okay, well,
yeah.
we can maybe throw Far From Home in there.
Yeah.
And we should
yeah.
revisit them all because now, like, I watched them as they come out.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not the order that you should watch them
chronologically
yeah. in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go back and see if I see any kind of Easter eggs in the if I watch it chronologically that I might have missed watching them
right as they were released
sequentially.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
I think
I honestly, if you have even the slightest interest in seeing this movie, go see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Don't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray or something like that. It is not going to be the same experience.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the theater for quite some time.
Yeah, but not to say it won't be good watching it at home, but to be able to sit and see it on a big screen with an audience made it so much better. That
and that
I get
audience
it.
was silent the whole time.
For the most part, I wanted.
90%.
I wish that they had more energy, but I was with it. I'm clapping and shit. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
No, I knew it was either going to go one of two ways. Either it was going to be like through the whole movie, or it was going to be dead silent because nobody knew what to expect.
Yeah,
and I kind of am glad that it was the latter.
Okay, fair. I would say yes, it is 3 hours. So if you've heard, yes, it is 3 hours long. It doesn't feel like 3 hours. There are some slower parts in the movie, but it picks up pretty quickly. And by the end, like that last, I'd say 40 minutes is just like wall to wall cum shots. So, I mean, if you can make it without going to the bathroom at any point, don't go for the last like 40 minutes.
I'm gonna say my recommendation is go right before you walk into the theater. Don't have anything to eat or drink while you're in the theater, and go right as soon as the credits are done.
Yeah. Yes, yes, there are no post-credits.
There are no post-credits.
So there is nothing to wait for. Now, they do have a really cool in-credits thing that they do with, like, the actors signing their names and stuff like that. That's cool. But there's nothing
after the credits
at the end to be like, oh, and then now this movie's coming up. Like, so if you're waiting for that, there's nothing there, so you can leave. But yeah, so rating?
Really fucking liked it.
I will concur. I really fucking liked it. I have my gripes, but I can't think of anything big enough to make me go like, oh, well, you know, it's going to knock it down a whole rating. No, really fucking liked it. I highly suggest seeing it. I'm going to see it again, but yes. So
I'm going to probably have to go see it again after I get back from vacation.
Yeah. That being said, we are now going into spoiler territory. So again, if you haven't seen the movie, get the fuck out of here.
Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers.
We're going to spoil the movie. So insert siren sound here. All right. Wasn't it great when the X-Men came out? And no, no, that does not happen in the movie.
No. And you know, I was looking for him at that scene.
Kevin Feige, he came out and said that they weren't going to be in the movie.
I know, but because
by the time the deal went through to get the characters
they
back,
didn't have them in time.
Yeah, the movie was already pretty much done, and they're like, man, look. And I think that's that joke that Wong makes to Doctor Strange, where Doctor Strange, he's like, is that everybody? And he's like, you wanted more? He's
right.
like, what the fuck else could we put in this shit?
The X-Men.
Yeah,
I really think, like, I was trying to scan. And when I go back,
the crowd.
Yeah, when I go back and see it, and when all of the Marvel universe comes out, I think like I was trying to find them there, and the scene happened so fast that I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, A, they weren't there, but B, I couldn't scan that fast enough. Like there's literally all of the Marvel universe.
There is a little Easter egg in there.
Mm-hmm.
They brought back Howard the Duck.
I missed him.
Yeah, he's in the background when I think it's when they show the Wasp when she comes out the portal.
Mm-hmm.
In the background in the corner, there's Howard the Duck and he's like cocking a gun and shit. And I was like, that's hilarious.
I missed it.
I didn't catch it the first time. I didn't see it until after I was watching Easter eggs video on YouTube.
I'm gonna have to go look
and
one
I was
up.
like, holy shit, they brought back Howard the Duck.
I like Howard the Duck. I didn't know Howard the Duck had anything to do with Marvel, though.
Well, he pops up in the end credits of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. He's in the collector's shit, so yeah, there's that. But the way, like I said in the non-spoiler part, the way that they constructed the movie was so genius because they found a way to give you all the nostalgic. They found a way to make the story give you a nostalgic montage of the MCU as a whole by revisiting all these key moments from the prior films.
Right.
So obviously they do time travel in the movie. People theorize about that. And my fear was that they were going to go back in time and make the snap never happen.
Right.
They don't do that.
Nope.
They can't change the past per se. The snap still has to happen because as my biggest complaint about time travel movies is when they go back to the past to stop something that's already happened. I'm like, if you change the past,
it changes the future.
You can't. If your wife died
Mm-hmm.
and you build a time machine to keep her from dying, if you keep your wife from dying, you never built the time machine, so you never went back to the past. You create a paradox, so you can't do that. So the snap still had to happen, but they were able to take the stones from the past, bring them to the future.
Basically, they could reverse it.
And revive everybody.
But
those
they
5 years that passed,
that
they
happened.
did a time jump of 5 years from the moment Thanos does the snap until where we bring back the movie, and all that shit still went down.
I like how that there was, only 21 days between the snap and then the beginning of
the movie. Yeah, because they start off like 3 weeks after it happened. They like, we finna go fuck Thanos' ass up.
And then they do.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's one of the things. Okay.
That was badass.
Killing Thanos. They kill Thanos within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Pretty much.
And I mean, now, in my mind, what I thought was going to happen was they were going to go there to the little garden planet that Thanos was on, he being a little farmer and shit, and they were going to try and kill him, and Cap or somebody like that would be like, no, like, we're better than him. Like, we're not murderers or whatever. No, they go.
Not Thor.
They go and they turn that motherfucker into a fillet. Like, like Captain Marvel, like, bursts through the wall and tackles his ass. And then fucking, Bruce Banner comes up in the Hulkbuster suit and grabs his one arm. War Machine grabbed the other arm. Fucking, and then Thor come and chop that motherfucker arm clean off. Just boom. And I was like, fuck. And then he talking his shit, and he's like, well, where are the stones at? Because the stones aren't in the gauntlet. And Thanos is like, oh, you're too late. Like, I destroyed him or whatever, because the whole reason they know where Thanos is because he uses the stones again, and it gives off an energy signature in space, and that's how they find the planet that he's on. And it was like, oh, it was just like when he used the stones here, it was that same energy signature. Well, what he did when he did that...
He used the stones to destroy the stones.
Exactly, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but I was like, whatever, just go with it. Because I'm like, how do you destroy the stones with the stones? Like, you just snap them from existence? But
could be.
Whatever. That being said, though, if they control reality and time and space, if you destroy the stones, wouldn't that destroy reality? But anyway.
I mean, that was one of the minor issues that I had.
Yeah. Like I said, it bothered me for a minute. It kind of
like it's like the whole time travel thing. You can't travel back and undo something because that event would have never happened if you traveled back in time to begin with, and then we got all kind of Cloverfield paradoxes.
God. But other than that I let that go. But yeah, Thanos is giving his whole speech and shit, and he's like, oh, I'm inevitable, and he's talking to Nebula, and he was like, oh, I mistreated you. Like, he was kind of having like a sympathetic moment, and Thor was like, fuck you, cut that motherfucking head clean off. And I was like, holy shit. And I don't mean Thor cut his head off and they like cut away.
Oh no.
They showed his dead head roll on the ground. It was like some Game of Thrones shit. I was like, this is a Disney movie, right? Like I had to like make sure. I was like, is this shit PG-13? Because there's a few deaths in here where people get killed and stabbed with shit. And I'm like, they didn't even shy away from that shit at all. And I appreciated that because I was like, I want to see, fuck him, kill his ass. And I felt just like Thor did after he kills Thanos, where I was kind of like, I felt hollow afterwards because I was like, that was not satisfying.
No.
Because he didn't put up a fight.
Right.
You know, he had kind of resigned to just being a farmer. He like, man, look, I did what I came to do. So whatever y'all want, I ain't got shit for you. Like, the stone's gone. You can't undo the snap.
I'm on my deathbed.
I'm out here just living my life. I'm out here making corn or some bullshit. And when they kill him after that, I'm just like, that almost to me made them more like a villain than anything. Like, they felt like the bad guys in that scenario. Cause I was like,
the guilt's gonna eat him up, because at that point they knew.
Yeah.
He was on his deathbed. I mean, the man's dragging his big ass purple leg.
Right, yeah.
He can't lift it.
Yeah, because he used the stones again, and that fucked him up even worse.
His arms all
burnt.
Third degree burn. His
and
face
all that
is all
shit,
burnt.
yeah.
You know, he's like walking like a stroke victim.
Yep.
Barely talking. He's like whispering like,
and the main thing
I'm
too.
dying.
Yeah, and the main thing too is he was no longer a threat.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't fight them back. Like, that's why it was so easy for them to kill him, because he was like, I can't fucking do shit to y'all now. Like, I'm half, like you said, I got one leg in the grave. Like, what am I finna do? So when they kill him, I was like, yeah, that didn't feel as good as I thought it would, but I
mean, they kind of make up for it throughout the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah, by the end, he had that shit coming by the end, but that was one of the things that I said before that surprised me. Like, I did not expect that to happen.
No.
I knew that they were going to kill Thanos, sure, but not like that, and definitely not that
10
quickly.
minutes.
Hell no. I was like, because after that, I looked at my watch and I was like, so what the fuck is we finna do for the other 2 hours and 50 minutes of this movie? Like, holy shit. One of the other things. So we get to see how Iron Man gets out of space.
Yes.
And Captain Marvel comes to them and saves them and brings the ship back to Earth. Mm-hmm. Now, I did see some people complaining online that, like, oh, well, Captain Marvel just comes out of nowhere and saves Tony and then brings him back, and everybody acts like, you know, it's no big deal, and they don't acknowledge the fact that she's there. And I'm like, well, did you not see Captain Marvel? At the end of her movie,
right?
Or during the post-credits, she shows up in the present day, because, you know, her movies take place in the 90s.
Right.
And she shows up in the present day, and she is like, where's Fury?
Right.
After that, then she goes to save Tony, because Cap still has his beard when she comes back. When she gets Tony and brings him back, Cap just finished shaving his beard off. Because when you first see Cap at the beginning of the movie, he's freshly shaven.
Right.
They show him, like, in the bathroom, like, wiping off the shaving cream and shit. So I'm like, well, yeah, they've already met Captain Marvel, and they probably told her to go save Tony because they knew that he was still out in space somewhere. Now, how they would know that, I don't know. Well, but they probably was like, hey, just go look and see if he's out there somewhere. We knew he left to go fight Thanos in space, so see if you can, you know, find him. Maybe, because they don't know if he got dusted or not, so they don't even know if he's alive. But they're just like, just go look, bitch. Just try.
Like, you're the only one that can, so go.
Yeah.
You the new girl in town. Go.
Yeah. Now you could say that's another plot hole, because how could she have found him?
I didn't think so.
But
because
yeah, it didn't bother me.
She's like entwined with the universe, and so she.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever. So I was like, whatever.
I didn't give that
go.
a second thought. I was just like, all right. They sent her to go find Tony.
And it was 3 weeks, you know, after the Infinity War. So, I mean, maybe she was looking for him that whole 3
Could
weeks.
have been.
And she just finally found him.
Could have been.
Who knows?
Space is big.
Yeah, exactly. Once they get back, though, that scene where Tony confronts Steve is, like, one of the best dramatic moments, like, in the whole movie.
Tony looked like hell.
Oh, yeah, and
I know
they did a
he
good
was
job.
supposed to look like hell.
Yeah, because he was starving and shit.
Yeah.
They did a good job making him look emaciated and just sick. He had, like, yellow eyes.
Yeah,
and
he was
like,
all jaundiced and shit.
He was fucked, man. I was like, yeah, he was definitely, like, on his way out. Because Nebula, like, props his ass up in the captain's chair, and she's like, yeah, this nigga dead. Like, I'm not, like, I can't do shit for him now. But yeah, when he confronts Steve once he gets back to Earth,
I've been waiting for that
it
for
felt
a
so
while.
raw and real. Because I was like, are they acting or is he really mad at him? I just legit thought Robert Downey Jr. was just cussing Chris Evans the fuck out because he was like, motherfucker, he was like, and we were supposed to be a team, and you fucking traitor. He was like, we lost because of yo bitch ass. He was like, because you broke up the Avengers. And I was just like, holy shit. And you just could tell Steve's face. He just looked so sad. He was just like, Tony, like, you know, like, because he can tell that Tony's angry, not so much at him, but just angry because they lost.
Mm-hmm. Angry at the situation.
Yeah, and he's afraid and he's upset.
And honestly, he's probably still grieving. If it's only been 3 weeks, he's probably still grieving over Peter.
Oh yeah, because the first thing he says to him when he gets off the ship is, I lost the kid. And Steve's like, you know, he's like, we all lost, like, you know, Tony, like, it's not just like people everywhere are dead and shit.
Right.
But
I think that really like hit. I think Peter Parker and Tony have this crazy connection that has
it was a father-son dynamic.
It's never been presented, as far as I can tell, in like Marvel history.
No, in the comics and stuff.
In the comics and
Their
stuff.
relationship is never been like that, no.
Peter Parker was there, but he was never that connected to.
No, and he's older in the comics when Civil War happens too. So he's already an adult by that point. So
Right.
they don't have that kind of father-son thing like they do in the movies, where Peter's still a teenager. He's like his surrogate father in the movies. So it's a real interesting dynamic that they use, and they use it to good effect, too.
I would say I liked it.
They
it
milked
worked
that
well.
shit for everything it was worth. Because people complain like, oh, they put Iron Man in Spider-Man's movie, this, that, and the other. I was like, no, you needed that because when he finally dies, you have that connection between them two.
Oh yeah.
And it makes you give a shit and gives more weight to Peter's death.
Right.
But yeah, like you could tell the fear and resentment in Tony, not only at Steve, but from his battle with Thanos and the fallout from what happened in Civil War. Because they haven't seen or talked to each other since the end of Civil War, when he finds out that Bucky killed his parents and Steve knew about it and didn't tell him.
Right.
And was still trying to protect Bucky. So that's all that baggage from that. Then Infinity War happens, and now they finally see each other, and he like, man, fuck you, man. You know, because the last time he saw him, they were at each other's throats.
Right.
That's why the resolution they have when he just comes back and he's like, you know, you was a bitch-ass bitch, but it's all good. Yeah, I brought you a new shield. Here you go. I was like, I wanted a better...
You wanted more?
I did. I needed something else. Just maybe one more beat in between that to get them... Because like I said, when they see each other, Tony's pissed the fuck off at him. And then 5 years go by, and then he sees him again, and maybe you could say with time he got over it. But I just needed a little bit more to just make me feel like, okay, they cool again.
I was sufficient with how they did it because Tony's an egotistical asshole.
Fair.
And Cap is this egotistical good guy.
Fair.
And
Self-righteous.
Yeah. And like they just settled it like two egotistical people would. Be like, all right, you cool. Yep, I'm good. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a guy thing, I think.
I guess.
But I don't know.
But I like the callbacks they had even all the way back to Age of Ultron when he says that line to Steve where he's like, I wanted to build a suit of armor around the world and you told me that was a bad idea. And he was like, well, he said that we would fight together. And he said, and I told you, what if we lose? And you said we do that together too. He's like, guess what? We lost. And I was like, damn, he kind of got a point. Like Tony was calling his ass out. He was like, you talk all this, team and unity shit. And he was like, and you weren't fucking there and we lost. And he was like, and this is your fault. It's not Steve's fault, but I think the main reason Thanos won at the end of Infinity War is because the team was broken up.
Right.
Like if he would have came to Wakanda and the Guardians and Iron Man and Spider-Man were all on Earth with Steve and Black Panther and the Hulk and all that shit, if they could have came at him as one team like they do at the end of this, I don't think he would have been able to get that Soul Stone at the end.
I don't think so either.
But because they were broken up, they were weaker, divided.
Right.
So he was able to win.
They've been setting this up since Age of Ultron.
They've been setting this up since the first Avengers.
Yeah.
I mean, now...
Like this whole stronger together,
yes,
weaker
yes,
we are
yes.
divided
you're
kind
right,
of thing.
Yes,
or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, no, you're absolutely right. Yes, the whole team dynamic of them being
a team versus being a couple of hotheads.
Right. And but that clash between Tony and Steve, they've been setting that up since the first Avengers.
Yep.
When they first meet each other, one of the first things that they say to, or when the Mind Stone's fucking with them and they're arguing and shit, he says, Steve says to Tony, "You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play." And he was like, you wouldn't lay down on the wire and let the other guy walk over you. And Tony says to Steve, he's like, everything special about you came out of a bottle. And by the end of this, they actually prove each other wrong, because Tony is the one to make the sacrifice at the end. And Steve is more than just Captain America. He was able to actually give that up and was like, I want a life for myself. Now granted, the past Captain America still exists and still does all that shit. But he was able to be like, you know what? I don't have to keep fighting. Like, I can go back and be with Peggy and live out my life with her and give up the mantle of Captain America. Like, I've done it. Like, I'm good. So I was like, that, again, it's just like, when they wrote this, they really sat down and looked at the entire MCU and was like, how can we bring all this together in a satisfying way and pay off all these character moments and arguments and everything else that we've planted seeds for the last 11 years and make it all come together and satisfy you. And I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, it was so good just on that level. Now my complaint.
Okay. Let's see if it lines up with my complaint.
The rat.
It does not line up with my complaint.
The
rat is
the MVP of this shit. When Doctor Strange went back and looked at them 14 million possibilities, apparently
the rat was one of them.
The rat is the one that needed to be there, because Iron Man says to Doctor Strange when they meet up, he's like, well, you said you looked at all these possibilities. He was like, tell me this is the one. He's like, well, if I tell you what happens, it won't happen. No, what happened already needed to happen. The rat let Ant-Man out the fucking quantum realm. Hear me out. At the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, he goes into the quantum realm to go get some quantum energy to help the ghost bitch or whatever. And they get dusted and he's stuck there. He cannot get out. 5 years later, the van is in a lockup. He's still in the quantum realm for 5 years. No one knows where they assume he got dusted. His name is on the wall of the vanished and shit. They think Scott's dead and gone. A rat happens to be crawling across the console of the truck, and shout out to Duralast or whoever the fuck made the battery for that van, and that shit was still had juice in it after 5 years of just sitting there. And he flips a switch, and then the quantum thing powers back up, and then Ant-Man spits out. And I was like, are you fucking serious? There were so many theories leading up to this movie where people were like, oh, how is Ant-Man going to get out the quantum realm? He was stuck there and nobody know he in there. Who's going to get him out? Is he going to meet another character in there? They were trying to tie it into Doctor Strange, or maybe he went to the soul realm or some shit. Because, when Thanos kills Gamora and after he does the snap, he goes into like the soul stone and talks to her like as a little girl and shit. And they was like, oh, maybe the quantum realm is connected to the stone somehow. No! It's a fucking rat. Trips over a fucking on switch and Ant-Man spits out. And I was like, of all the things, that's why I spent so much time talking about and gushing over how much attention to detail they spent, connecting all this shit together, paying attention to all these little lines and story beats and making it all come back to this. Mm-hmm. And then they just glossed over Ant-Man getting out the quantum realm. I was like, maybe that's why they made his character give so much depth, because they was like, yeah, we kind of dropped the ball on getting him out of the quantum realm. It was like, a rat did it, whatever. Just, you know what I wanted? I wanted Michael Peña's character to like get the van out of an impound or some shit, him go to start it up, and then it kicks the machine on. I would have accepted that over just the wind blew and fucking switch flipped. And
we got Theodore running around up in here.
Like, come on, man. Like, at least come meet me halfway on this shit. That did not bother you at all?
I mean, look who produces the movie.
What, the mouse?
The mouse.
Yeah, okay, so Mickey Mouse had a cameo in Endgame, and he
That's
But,
it.
but I mean, in all seriousness,
I mean,
that
no,
bothered
it
me.
really didn't bother me because the van was in an impound.
Okay.
Impounds are dirty and gross.
Okay.
It was like a storage impound because I think it was like a storage locker. Okay.
Sure.
So that has, bugs and
Rodents
rats
and
and
shit,
shit.
sure.
And I mean, it was bound to happen by the universe. The 14 million possibility.
Yeah, it only took 5 years for a rat to just jump in there and flip the switch.
Whatever.
Like I said, for its
Can we
tight-
shout out to Kim Jong-un for being like the coolest security guard ever? Or
the
Ken
dictator
Jong.
of North Korea?
No, Ken Jong.
Oh,
The fuck is that guy from The Hangover's name?
Yeah, Kim something, but it's not Kim Jong-un.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
That's the dictator of North Korea.
I'm telling you, it's been a day.
Oh, man. But yeah, no.
I think it's Ken Jong.
Yeah. But of everything that happened in the movie, plot hole-wise, that is the most glaring one that bothers me the most. Because I was like, y'all ain't even try, man.
Nah.
I feel like they wrote the rest of the movie, and then they were going over the final draft, and then they started shooting it, and they were like, wait, how did we get Quantum or Ant-Man out the quantum realm? And I was like, oh, shit, a rat did it.
The mouse.
Right, oh, God. Okay, what was yours?
I had an issue when Bruce is he's going to steal the green stone.
The time stone.
The time stone.
Yeah.
And he meets up with the chick.
The ancient one.
The
from Doctor
ancient
Strange.
one
Yeah.
from Doctor Strange.
Mhm.
And he's telling her, he's like, this is what happened and this is what I'm here for. And she's like, well, I can't give it to you, She makes a comment and he says, well, why did Doctor Strange give Thanos the stones if this wasn't supposed to happen?
Right.
And she mentions, she says, well, maybe I chose wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They never address that.
Well, she then does say, or maybe I didn't, and then gives him the stone because I think, now they don't implicitly say this because I'll always yell at you about this, about you writing the movie for him. This shit ain't in the movie. You can't just be like, whoa, maybe no, that ain't in the movie. I assumed that she realized that, because they do talk about it in Doctor Strange, that she can't see her future beyond a certain point because she doesn't have the stone anymore.
Right.
So I think she realized that because she couldn't see past a certain point, that she must have given up the stone at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what was compelled her to go okay. Plus she does say, well, Doctor Strange is supposed to be the best among us. He is the Sorcerer Supreme. So if he did it, then, I mean, fuck, he know better than me, I guess. So, but that's fair. I'll give you that one because
they never address it.
Yeah.
And Bruce is like, well, I will, we'll make sure that we bring him back. And she's talking about the timeline and how it's
he's like, oh, no. If we bring it back to this point, then that don't even exist no more.
Right.
Yeah. They explain it, but I don't think they did an adequate enough job. So I'll give you that.
That's my complaint. Is
okay, fair.
They didn't explain that. Maybe it's just me and I don't understand quantum physics. That's a very good possibility.
Yeah, but this is all time travel shit, so yeah. Okay, fair.
That's my one major.
Okay, I got a few more, but
I know you do.
The rat was that just insulted my intelligence. I was like, you ain't for real. I'm like, we ain't gonna say, even if the ants had to flip the switch, because you know how Ant-Man can talk to the ants and shit, Anthony, that ant, that his little friend or whatever, if he would have came and flipped the switch and got him out, I would have been like, okay, I'll buy that. It took him 5 years to find him, and then he flipped the switch, but just a random ass rodent did it? I mean, okay, anyway.
Lay off the rat.
Even if the Stan Lee cameo had been him doing it, I would have bought that more so than just, okay. Anyway.
I like the Stan Lee cameo. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So since you brought it up, let's talk about time travel.
Okay.
They did time travel when I first saw it in a really smart way, because they were like, you can't change the past because the past has already happened.
Right.
We can't undo that.
Right.
We can't undo that because then our future wouldn't exist and we would have never went back. And I was like, I even said in theater, I'm like, thank you. That's always my biggest problem with time travel movies. If you undo the past, you never went back to change it, so then you just don't exist.
Right.
You can't
Butterfly
do that.
effect.
Exactly. So, I thought that was really smart. Then I thought about it a little bit more. And I was like, okay, wait. Because especially once they go back in time, they do this whole thing with the stones where they're broken up into teams and they have to go into certain points in time to pick up the stones. And then it starts getting a little wonky because shit starts happening that didn't happen in the past. I'm like, okay, well, you did just change the past. Because their argument was, okay, if we go back in time and take the stone, it's going to make an alternate reality timeline for that past.
Right.
Our future is still going to be the same, but that past now has a new future that's skewed off. But if we bring the stone back to right after we took it, then that past continues on like it always did.
But doesn't that change where their future is?
No, because you can't change the future. Because the future's already happened. Or the past already happened, so you can't change the past, but if you do change the past, you just create a new timeline. So it's,
thus not leading to the current future.
No, their future still, because like I said, if they change their own past, then their future selves stop existing. So a new timeline is created. They're just making alternate realities now. So if they change the past, then something else with a new future, but their future still stays the same, and they've just started some other shit. So in order to mitigate that, they're like, we'll just bring the stone back, and then there won't be a splintered timeline. The problem is Loki. Loki gets the Tesseract and runs off with that shit.
Yes, he does.
So the whole point by the end, them sending Cap back, they were like, oh, we're going to send Cap back, and he's going to replace all the stones and fix the splinters in the timeline. He can't fix that. Loki's gone. So unless he puts the stone back before Loki dipped out, there's a new timeline with Loki.
Put that stone, though. He didn't get that
that's
version
right.
of the Tesseract.
He had to go get a different
He had to
one.
go back into 1970 and get
That's
that
right.
version of the Tesseract.
That's right. Okay. So then that shit with Loki leaving still happens then.
Yes.
So now there is a separate time. Maybe that's how his Disney Plus show is going to work.
Could be.
Because Loki's getting his own show, and it's something about like him being on through all these different events in time. Maybe that's what happens with him. He gets the Tesseract. Though he can't travel through time with the Tesseract, he can just teleport to different places.
But he
but
had
still,
the Tesseract in one of the movies.
in the first Avengers.
After that.
Oh, he steals it at the end of Thor Ragnarok. That's when he gives it to Thanos.
Yeah.
But by the end of Avengers, he doesn't have it anymore. So he doesn't get it again until at the end of Ragnarok when when Asgard is about to be destroyed.
Right.
He goes to the throne room and steals it.
So in between Avengers and Ragnarok, essentially where Tony and Steve are, that's when Avengers took place.
Yeah.
So theoretically, Loki disappears and goes back to Asgard. Because that's where we pick him up in Thor.
But no, because we see him again in Thor: The Dark World. He's in that too.
Yeah, but not with the Tesseract.
No. Because remember, the future doesn't change. So even though Loki left, everything that happened still happened the same way.
Right.
He just created a new timeline where he's off doing some other shit. So that doesn't affect our main timeline. That's why it gets kind of tricky.
I feel like that scene should tie in somewhere between Avengers and Ragnarok.
If they did time travel like other movies do it, but they don't. They make it a point to say everything that happened still happens.
That's what
and
I
even
mean.
if we change it, just a new thing is happening somewhere else.
That should be a point in time that did happen that we didn't necessarily see, and events leading up to that happening provide with the events that we know of.
Because if you think about it, if they did do it that way, Thor would have never been able to take Loki back to Asgard at the end of the Avengers. Because he takes the Tesseract and Loki back to Asgard when they teleport up at the end when everybody's going their separate ways. And at the beginning of Thor: Dark World, Loki's in prison. Mm-hmm. So if he doesn't go back with him, none of that shit happens. So everything still happens the way it's supposed to. Loki's just off on some other shit now in a whole other timeline. So who knows what the fuck is going to happen with that. That being said, though, my other issue or question that I have with the time travel. They make it a point to say Tony goes, once they fuck up and Loki takes over the Tesseract, and they're like, shit, well, we can't get that stone, and we only had a finite, because they make it a point to say, we only have a finite amount of Pym particles to travel back with. We can only go back once. We only have enough for one round trip to go back and come back.
Right.
So, if we fuck up, there ain't no do-overs.
Right.
And then Tony's like, okay, instead of us going back to the present, we're going to go back to the past again even further.
Right.
And get some more Pym particles and both the,
And the Tesseract.
In the Tesseract.
Right.
The problem with that is, why didn't they just do that in the first place? Now, hear me out. They go back to the 70s to get more Pym particles.
Uh-huh.
Because they needed more to go back to the present.
Uh-huh.
Why not just make the mission, go back to the 70s, get a whole bunch of Pym particles, then we can just do this shit as many times as we need to?
Because they weren't thinking about having to do it multiple times.
But why not, though?
They had a plan.
They planned all this shit out. It wasn't like they was just like, we got time travel, let's go. Like, they made a whole thing of, okay, this stone was here, in this location, we're going to send this person to go do this, that, and the other. At no point did nobody go, hey, can't we just go back and get more Pym particles? And then that way we don't have to be worried about if something goes wrong, we're just fucked?
No.
She's like, no, why would they think of that? No, of course not. They had Tony there.
They had a plan in order just to... Because they were only supposed to mess with that one point in time where the stones were.
Or they could have even went back before.
Like, getting the Pym particles wasn't even on the thing until something happened, and Cap and Tony's like, well, fuck. What can we do now? Oh.
Well, kind of should have been, because at first they had enough Pym particles for everybody to do one round trip in 2 test runs. Mm-hmm. And the Ant-Man fucks up and shrinks and shit. He's like, okay, 1 test run. And I was like, right then, I'd be like, we need more fucking Pym particles because he finna fuck this shit up before we even go back in time.
I guess they didn't figure that was going to happen again.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Okay, now we're going to get off time travel here in a second, but I want to talk about Vormir.
Okay.
The planet they go to get the Soul Stone.
Okay.
That is a powerful scene, and it was really cool how Black Widow went out.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with it is the setup don't make sense.
Right.
No one there knew, Hawkeye nor Black Widow knew that somebody had to die to get the stone.
Right.
Until they got there.
Right.
And Red Skull explains it to him. Because remember, in Infinity War, nobody's there except Gamora and Thanos.
Right.
And he goes there with Gamora, he comes back by himself with the stone. But that doesn't explicitly say, you know, oh, you have to be this, that, and the other. Maybe you could say Nebula knew because she was the one that figured it out in Infinity War. She was like, he left with Gamora to get the Soul Stone. He came back alone when he explains to Star-Lord.
Mm-hmm.
To Star-Lord's like, you know, questioning Thanos, like, where is she? He's like, oh, he left with her and now he came back alone. So she might have known, but Hawkeye and Black Widow obviously had no idea because they even were like, what the fuck? Like, somebody got to die for this shit? And they're like having a whole fight between who's going to die. It was a powerful moment, and it was a good self-sacrificing thing for Black Widow's character. Mm-hmm. That was a good end to her character. The problem is that in Infinity War and in this, Red Skull says you have to sacrifice something you love or someone you love to get the stone.
Right.
That's not what happened.
You have to lose what you love.
Yeah.
Not sacrifice.
Well, he does say sacrifice, I'm pretty sure. Or lose, either way.
You have to lose what you truly love.
Either way, that's not what happened.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Hawkeye didn't throw her off the cliff.
No.
She killed herself.
She lost what she truly loved with Hawkeye.
She loves Bruce.
No.
Yes. They was fucking in Age of Ultron. Because when she dies, Bruce is mad because when Hawkeye comes back alone, Bruce like gets on the ground, like hits the floor. And he even says when he does the snap that he tried to bring her back.
Yeah.
They're a thing.
So are Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Hawkeye has a family. He is a married man, goddammit, and a wife and kids.
Not anymore. Thanos snapped them away.
Still. They were friends, but they weren't like a thing.
People have done that before, though. They can't be with this one person that they want to be with.
Okay, fine.
They get it, they make themselves happy, but that doesn't mean that they don't love that other person.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that. Hawkeye was trying to kill himself.
For her.
No.
Yes.
But still, though, that's not losing or sacrificing something. That's just saying, hey, somebody died to get the stone. Going by off that logic, you can say we can just throw Red Skull off the cliff because we need a thing, and we sacrificed him to get it. We love our family back home, and we want them back, so kill him.
She was willing to throw herself over so that he didn't have to die. He was willing to do the same for her.
That don't feel right, though. That don't feel like it. And I need to go back and look at the specific line, but I am almost certain.
How did you miss that him and her were a thing?
They were friends. But
they were a thing.
I don't think they were ever a couple, though.
They were a thing.
Man, Clint's kids is like 8, 9 years old or some shit.
He wasn't in Infinity War.
Yeah, but
he disappeared at the end of Age of Ultron.
Sure, but we meet his family back then in Age of Ultron, so he had to have them kids at the beginning of the first Avengers when we first see them together.
That doesn't mean that him and her weren't a thing.
What, back in the day?
Yeah!
Oh, man, see, okay. Either way, that
How do you not remember Hawkeye and Black Widow being a thing?
Maybe in the comics, but in the movies they never implicitly say that.
They hinted around at it.
Either way, I am almost certain that they say you have to sacrifice something.
Okay.
Something you love or someone you love. Because Gamora says to Thanos, she was like, oh, you don't love anything, and this, that, and the other, and then it's like, oh, he loves her, and so he throws her off the thing.
Okay.
If Gamora would have killed herself, he wouldn't have got the stone, right?
Going on that, maybe Hawkeye has love for himself, and Black Widow has love for herself.
I'm letting it go.
I'm pretty sure it was because they were a thing and they were really in love with each other. Even though she fell in love with Bruce too, and he had his wife and his kids, like, they were supposed to be together, realized they couldn't be together, and so they went their separate ways.
Because honestly, if we were to go off that logic, I'd be more likely to believe that Black Widow and Cap were a thing before Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Man.
No?
Man, don't pick up on things.
Man, whatever, man. Look,
I'm just saying.
Because I felt like they were going to get together back in Winter Soldier.
I never thought that Black Widow was going to get with Cap, ever.
Oh, shit. I was going to say. Because even when he comes to see her in this, I was like, oh, okay, they finally a couple now.
No.
He's like, oh, I'm coming to see a friend and this, that, and the other. I was like, okay, here we go.
Nope.
Penis and vagina.
Nope.
It's happen.
Cap and Black Widow were just friends. Like, literally just friends. But you can tell the sexual chemistry between Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Wow.
Like,
sexual chemistry.
Yes. Maybe you need to go back and rewatch the movie.
I guess so. Okay. All right. Fair enough. We'll get off that. That bothers me, but again, not enough to break the movie for me. But I was just kind of like, I don't know if that's kind of what he meant by that, but okay. All right. That being said, let's talk about Professor Hulk.
I liked it.
It was weird at first.
I didn't think so.
But by the end of the diner scene, I was like, okay, I'm with it.
Well, because we said that each progressive Hulk movie looked more and more like Mark Ruffalo in the face.
Yeah, he was becoming more intelligent. Because in Ragnarok, he was stuck being Hulk for all the way between the end of Age of Ultron up to Thor Ragnarok.
Like 2 years or something.
Yeah, and he was like talking and she's like, Hulk raging fire and all this other shit. And I was just like, okay, we getting there. And then in Infinity War, you only see Hulk for like 5 minutes and then he's gone the rest of the movie. So I was like, okay. Especially once they explained the time jump, and he's like, okay, I practiced doing this, and once I got able to control it,
right.
I was like, okay, I'm with it.
I liked it. T-Money hated it.
Yeah.
He said it looked stupid. I was like, I liked.
It was weird seeing Hulk wearing like a wife beater and shit, and like, eating waffles and all this shit. I was like, okay. He was like, look at me, I'm wearing shirts now. I was like, wow. Like, it was kind of weird, but.
I don't know. I still liked it.
I think they did a better job, though, with the CG for Thanos than they did with Hulk. Hulk looked a little fakey, and Thanos looked more like a tangible, real thing to me. Maybe because he's purple, I don't fucking know, but...
I didn't have that issue, so I don't know.
The facial expressions and stuff was good, because like when he was talking and making jokes, he was like, hey, and all this shit, I was like, nah, that looks like Mark Ruffalo as a big-ass green motherfucker. Like, I bought it. But I really thought it was cool. I was kind of a little bit disappointed he don't do a whole lot as the Hulk, though. I mean,
not really.
Because everybody was wanting that to finally get the best of both worlds, to have the Hulk, but him not just be a raging, crazy fucking beast.
Yeah.
And actually have some intelligence. But once we finally get it, he doesn't do anything.
That's kind of what T-Money said. He told me afterwards. He's like, I like the Hulk because he's big and he's beating on shit and he's like putting out this frustration that Bruce Banner can't.
Right.
And he said after the ass whooping that he got in Infinity War.
Yeah, you were kind of wanting him to see
Hulk to
fuck
come out
some shit up. Yeah,
that's exactly what T-Money said.
He wanted like a one-on-one fight with Hulk and Thanos.
Hulk
I did
and
too.
Thanos fuck some shit up.
Because pretty much just about everybody in the movie gets to fight Thanos one-on-one. Hell, Captain Marvel got to fight Thanos one-on-one, and the Hulk didn't, I don't think, hit one punch on Thanos during that whole fight. Now, again, it's like a 40-minute ending fight scene, so maybe I just forgot something, but I don't think he ever
I was
fights
like, he
Thanos
come at
that
him
whole
in
time.
the giant Iron Man suit.
Right, but at that point, he's still Bruce Banner. Because that's before he learns how to control the Hulk.
Right.
Because that was 3 weeks after Infinity War, so he's still Banner at that point. So yeah, I was kind of bummed we didn't get a rematch between them.
See, I didn't care. I didn't care if we got I wanted to see them all work together.
Yeah.
And we didn't get
But
that.
everybody got that little moment. Cap got a one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man got a one-on-one.
Okay, so speaking about Cap and his one-on-one.
Hell, even Scarlet Witch got a one-on-one with Thanos.
Can we talk about that damn the hammer scene, please?
We're getting there.
Ugh,
we are getting there.
killing me.
Oh, trust me, we getting there. So, okay. That is actually the very next thing.
Look at there. I don't even have your notes.
No, yeah. Go ahead.
No,
please.
no, please. You've been talking about this for a week.
Okay. Thor is one-on-one fighting Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
He has Mjolnir from the past,
Yep.
which it didn't even dawn on me that he had brought that back to the present, because when he takes it, when he's back in Thor the Dark World talking to his mom, it didn't even click that he brought it back to the future with him. I was like, oh yeah, he does have the hammer now. Because remember, the hammer got broken Ragnarok, so the hammer's been gone.
Right.
And I was like, that's right, he does have the hammer now. He's fighting him with the Stormbreaker and Mjolnir. Mew Mew, as some would call it. And, he whooping ass and shit, and, Thanos starts overpowering him, knocks the hammer out of his hand. It bothered me in the moment, but after further thinking about it, I was like, yeah, his dad was the one who did the whole enchantment of he whomsoever be worthy and wields this hammer has the power of Thor or whatever.
Right.
They don't do that to Stormbreaker.
No.
Stormbreaker's just a weapon. So anybody should be able to pick that up and use it.
Right.
Because it bothered me because he calls over the Stormbreaker and Thanos grabs it and starts trying to kill Thor with it. And I was like, wait, how did he pick that up? I was like, he shouldn't be able to use that as against him. But I was like, oh, that's right, because it doesn't have an enchantment on it. Like that. So he's trying to press the axe down into Thor's chest. And it's like, oh, is this it for the mighty Thor? And then they cut to the hammer. And you just start seeing it slowly lift up off the ground, but they don't show you anything but the hammer lifting, and it's all in slow motion. And then you see the hammer hit the back of Thanos' head, and it's like, oh shit, he called the hammer over with his other hand or some shit. And then it stops and goes back, and Cap caught that shit, and oh my god, you don't even understand. Seeing Captain America hold Thor's hammer, I never thought they would do it. This is what I meant before.
Did the comic book in you, the comic geek in you, just
oh my god, I came so hard down my leg and in that movie theater seat. You don't even understand that shit. I think that was the moment I finally started just out loud clapping and shit.
Yeah,
in that final scene, because that shit was. It's a small fight scene. It's maybe like 2 minutes, but everything he does with that hammer is dope as shit. He's calling lightning down on Thanos. He did some shit where he swooped the ground and lightning went up the fucking ground up through Thanos' ass.
Yeah, that was cool.
He threw the shield in the air and hit it with the hammer and brought the hammer back and the shield back. It was dope as hell. He jumped in the air and kneed him in the face and hit him with the hammer. It was... And I thought, okay, they just gonna do that one little thing. No, he has the hammer for the rest of the fight after that. He like, no, this is my shit.
Right.
Even when he do the Avengers and then he puts his hand out and catches the hammer and he's like, assemble. I was like, that shit was so... Oh my god, it was so dope. Like,
I thought it was pretty cool. Like, not cool, but, well, yeah, cool, but funny. Rather, when
oh yeah, okay.
When Thor picks up the hammer and Cap's got the axe and Thor's like, oh nah, give me the big one.
Yeah, and they like swap the weapons and shit.
Yep.
But yeah, man, that moment
that was real cool.
And I have a theory about this.
Okay.
Because in Age of Ultron, Cap could budge the hammer, but he couldn't outright pick it up.
Right.
Now, I've seen some people say, like, oh, he could have picked it up the whole time. He just didn't want to embarrass Thor in front of everybody.
No, I don't think that's it.
I don't think he could, and this is the reason why.
I think he had to earn it.
This is why I think he had to earn it. Because before that moment, he knew that Bucky had killed Tony's parents, but he was keeping it from him. I feel like it wasn't until he came clean about that's when he became worthy.
Could be.
To wield the hammer.
Well, could be, because Thor can't, Thor doesn't lie, and Thor doesn't...
Yeah, I mean, Thor's not perfect, but...
He's not perfect,
He's a fairly honest, good-hearted... He's cocky and arrogant, and he had to let that shit go to be able to wield the hammer again in his first movie. And that was, I think, the one character flaw Cap had that kept him from being completely worthy.
That he was cocky and arrogant?
No, that he was being dishonest to his friend.
Could be.
That, Tony, Bucky is his best friend from the past, but Tony is his current day best friend. And the fact that he was holding something from him that he knew that would hurt him to protect his other friend, I think is what made him, would be like the dark stain on his white t-shirt.
Right.
And I was like, that would make sense, because that's the only thing that's changed about Cap since Age of Ultron.
Right.
Is that he came clean about that shit. Now, we don't know how long he knew that, but we can assume ever since he knew about Bucky that he learned, that Bucky wasn't dead, that he learned that he had killed Tony's parents. So I think that's why.
Could be. It's a very likely possibility.
But that, I'm telling you, that moment when he picks up that hammer, and like I said, when he finally does the Avengers Assemble line, they kept cock teasing us about that line from the last Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, because at the very end, when like Falcon and the Vision are coming down and Scarlet Witch, and it's like the new team and shit, and it's like, oh shit, and he's like, Avengers, and then it just cuts off. And this, when he does it, it is like glorious. You have, like you said, the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, like everybody. They brought back everybody.
All of Wakanda.
Oh, man.
When he started chanting, I was
like,
yes!
I was like, man, this shit is so dope. You don't even understand. There are so many fan service moments in that last little bit between Cap picking up the hammer. They even do a callback to the first Avengers when Thor and Iron Man first fight each other. Yep. When they meet for the first time, and Thor calls the lightning down on Iron Man, and it powers up his suit, and he shoots the beams back at him. They do that in this against Thanos. He shoots lightning into Iron Man's back, and it powers up his suit, and he shoots the beams at Thanos. I was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, just all these little callbacks to the old movies. I was like, God damn it, he can do that. Because it was surprising to Tony that he absorbed, because it was like power levels at 3,000% or some shit. And he's like, oh shit. You're like, all right.
Right. I like the tiny Easter egg, and I say tiny, it's about the size of the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
Where, Captain Marvel comes in, and the dudes are off, like, fighting all Thanos' dudes.
Yeah.
So all of the Avenger men are off doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But you see Captain Marvel. You see Pepper Potts in the blue suit.
Mm-hmm.
You see Mantis.
Yep.
You see Gamora.
Yep.
You see Nebula. You see...
The Wasp.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you see...
Okoye.
Mm-hmm. And all of these women...
And Scarlet Witch.
And Scarlet Witch was there too, yep. You see all of these women, and they're just like a team together.
Yep.
Like a team inside of a team.
That's actually in the comics. Like, there's an all-female Avengers team. I think they're called A-Force or something like that. But yeah, that's definitely a nod to that. I actually heard some people bitching about that, though. It was like, oh, this old SJW beta cuck, all these women feminism.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, get over this shit, man. I'm like, it is like a blip of a fan service moment.
I remember it from the comics.
Yeah, it's like, look, this is my thing.
And not to mention, how cool would it be if those, like, 8 got, like, a spin-off or not a spin-off, but a...
Sure, or their own thing. Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that.
I'd be all right with that.
People were trying to say that it was pandering. I didn't feel that way.
I didn't either.
Because if we're going to go down that logic, then... Because, okay, this podcast I listen to, and I'm not going to call them out, but I love these guys, but he does make a point of he would have felt the same way if they would have brought out Sam Wilson
Yep.
and T'Challa and Okoye and Shuri and Rhodey,
Sure.
and just had all the black people be together, like.
Have Storm come out of here.
Right. Like I get it. If they would have did that, it would have kind of been like, okay, y'all just trying like way too hard. And I was like, all the black Avengers get together now,
Right.
and then all the women Avengers get together now, and then all the white men Avengers under 30 get together. Like, I get it to a degree, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I feel like the female characters don't, or at least in the past, haven't gotten. Not enough, but not as much to do as the male counterparts. And I'm like, I didn't have a problem with that.
One female Avenger movie.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
So
and
it was the last one to come out.
We did the same scene in Infinity War
Mm-hmm.
because when Black Widow is fighting the alien bitch,
Mm-hmm.
Scarlet Witch and Okoye come and they help her, and the three of them jump the
Yep.
alien chick of Thanos' army and they kill that bitch together and shit. Because that's when Scarlet Witch throws her in the air, and Okoye was like, why was she up there all this time? And she was like, this bitch could have been down here helping us.
Right.
But it just, I don't know, it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
The only thing that did bother me during that fight is Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Everything she did was dope, but I'm like, I understand why they found a way to keep you out of the movie, because they use her very sparingly. She's not in this a whole lot.
No, not at all.
And they kind of had to keep her out of the movie. Because if she'd been involved too much in the film, she is too OP, and there would be no real conflict. Like, if you think about it, she single-handedly destroys Thanos' entire spaceship.
Right.
And then pretty much solos Thanos. Like, everybody gets just about a one-on-one fight with Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
Most of, like, your main characters, the main Avengers.
Sure.
Except Hulk. And, which still bothers me. But, Spider-Man didn't get no one-on-one with him, but he would have fucking mopped the floor with
Yeah, he
Spider-Man
did.
ass. No, he didn't. They never fight each other.
Oh, he's
That's
not fighting Thanos.
He's fighting the minions and shit.
The minions.
He's got the glove and all that, but no, he does actually fight Thanos.
That's right.
He does a little bit in Infinity War, but Thanos put his ass down, and he was like, yeah, you better leave him the fuck alone.
Right.
But
Squashy like a spider.
yeah, well, he like smashes him into the ground, and he's like insect and then throws him and shit. And I was like, I see what you did with the Spider-Man insect thing. Anyway, the thing that bothers me is that, because it didn't bother me with having all the female Avengers be together, but if you want to say about something bothering you, I would say showing the female characters that did solo Thanos, they did better against Thanos than anybody else did. Even Cap with the hammer, or Thor with the hammer and the axe, didn't do nowhere near as good against Thanos as Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel. Scarlet Witch damn near killed Thanos on her own.
She really did.
Like, he had to call the armories and shit. And he was like, start shooting from the spaceship, because that's when they started shooting all the missiles down there and shit. And he was like, oh, but sir, our troops. And he was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, this bitch finna kill me. Like, she pretty much damn near single-handedly killed Thanos by herself. Now, granted, Thanos didn't have the gauntlet on at that point. Sure, but even in Infinity War, when he had the gauntlet and he had 5 of the 6 stones, she held him back for a long time from getting to the Vision.
She really did.
Because everybody else, they was running up on Thanos and he just swatting them away like flies and shit. But then he got to her and she just one hand like, no. And I was just like, I know Scarlet Witch is powerful, but I didn't think she was that goddamn strong. But I was like, okay.
I'll go with it.
Whatever. Then Captain Marvel comes, and she damn near broke his fucking hand with the gauntlet on.
Yeah.
He had the full 6 stones in the gauntlet, and he's trying to fight this bitch, and she grabs it and keeps him from, like, closing his hands to snap the fingers. Then, like, they're doing, like, almost like an arm wrestling thing, and she's, like, holding his hand, and then she, like, flies up above him and is, like, fist cocked back. And you can see her, like, bending his fingers back. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit much, man. Because I'm like, she could have by herself beat Thanos. Maybe that's why she was so cocky at the beginning. Because she was like, yeah, let's go get him. And they was like, yeah, man, let's calm this shit down. She's like, no, I'll go fuck his ass up right now. Fuck it.
I mean, it could have been, because they kind of led up to that like, at the beginning, it was either the end credits of Infinity War or the beginning of Endgame. I don't remember which. But where they're like, okay, well, not to put y'all down, but you didn't have me before.
Yeah, it was at the beginning of Endgame. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't know much about Captain Marvel. Maybe she is.
Well, we did see a whole movie with the bitch, but
I know. Prior to.
Sure, fair.
Maybe she is this.
Going off of this, she is hands down the strongest character in the MCU. Hands down. She even stronger than Thanos.
Yep.
Like, hands down. If he hadn't have pulled that Power Stone off the glove and put it in his other hand and hit her with it, she would have killed him. Like, right there. Been done. Would have just ended the movie. And I was like, I don't like that you're that strong. And if you are going to be that strong, how do we ever have a conflict with you in the movie now? Because they were smart by keeping her out in space, and she was like, oh, I got to go investigate some other bullshit out here or whatever.
Right.
So that was an excuse not to have her in it until the very end. Because if she'd have went time traveling with them, all that bullshit with Loki and all that goofy shit and everybody fucking up, she would have put a stop to all that shit. She could have went by herself, got all 6 of the stones, and brought them bitches back, no problem.
Right.
So it made sense to keep her kind of detached from everything. Mm-hmm. But when she does show up, it's kind of like the Superman problem. She's too powerful now. Because I'm like, in the next Avengers movie, unless they just gonna keep her off doing some other shit, how do you have a conflict with her? She can beat everything. Like, there's nothing that she can't. In her own movie, at the end, she completely takes out an entire space armada of an invading army by herself. She's flying through spaceships, punching missiles and shit. I'm just like, the thing that's cool about the Avengers is that they're strong individually, but no one of them, even Thor, who is the strongest Avenger, quote unquote, could not solo this shit.
Maybe she's got a kryptonite.
They better figure out something, man, because I'm like, they done made her too OP. Like, that's always the problem with the DC movies, is that Superman's too fucking strong. Like, without kryptonite, there ain't no fight. Like, Batman vs. Superman is a joke, because the fact that he even fought him for as long as he did before he used the kryptonite, I'm like, well, you just fucking kill him. Like, you can move at the speed of light damn near. Like, you can just zip up to his ass, punch him in the nuts, and that whole fight was over. Like, all that shit, do you bleed, and all this bullshit. I'm like, man, he could have whooped, even in Justice League, he fighting the Flash and Wonder Woman and Aquaman, he could have wiped all their ass out in like a second and been done. And they like, oh, we got to make a fair fight and shit. Like, Wonder Woman can stand up to him. Like, no, they can't. They even made it a point to show when the Flash was trying to run around him, he could see him still.
Right.
I'm like, he's too fucking strong. My thing is, if you're going to make Captain Marvel that strong, you're going to have to make somebody so much more powerful to meet her. Because in her next movie, who the fuck is she going to fight?
Yeah, I don't know.
Galactus? Like, what? Like, it's got to be like a super duper motherfucker now. Or they got to depower her some. Like, it's one or the others. They got to bring her power level down because she way too strong. Like, this is like not even a fight at this point. Other than that, just seeing everybody come back, that was really cool. Coming through the portals and shit. You know, how they did it where he's talking to Cap in the earpiece and he's like, Cap, it's Sam. And he's like, on your left and shit. And that was a callback to Winter Soldier when he's running laps around him and Cap keeps saying, on your left, on your left, on your left. That was really cool. We got to see Giant Man at the end.
Yep.
He punched that big ass snake thing, kind of like Hulk did in the first Avengers movie. What else? There was a few other things. Oh, Pepper in her Iron Man suit.
Her blue Iron Man
that was
suit.
dope as hell. Like when her and Tony were like back to back shooting lasers and shit. I was like, there's so much that happens in that last 40 minutes that it's hard to comprehend it. That's why I need to go see it again.
I know, right?
Because there's shit that I know I'm forgetting, but it was just so much. That's one of my other little minor complaints about the very end. I know, I'm a bitch. There was so much happening that it was kind of just like a mess at times. Like they would stop and focus on certain characters doing certain things. They had the whole little mission to get the gauntlet over to the other side and you know,
get it all the way over to Ant-Man's van.
Yeah, like who had it at first? Hawkeye had it. then Black Panther took it, then Spider-Man had it, and then Captain Marvel got it. That was the one moment in that movie where they made me actually like Captain Marvel. Was when she saw Peter. And because he's like holding the gauntlet, he's all scared and shit. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker." And she's like, "Hey, Peter Parker, you got something for me?" I was like, I liked her in that one moment.
I liked
her
her short hair in this too.
I did too. I did too. I remember A-Train. She did not like her haircut at all. She was like, "I didn't like the haircut."
I did.
That's what she looks like in the comics, though.
It was pretty sexy.
Yeah.
Like,
that was one of the other things they changed too, because in the trailers they didn't make fake footage, quote unquote, but they did change a lot of shit in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when Ant-Man comes to the compound and he's like, "Hey, it's me, open the gate," or whatever. In the trailer, Black Widow still has the short blonde hair. In the movie, it's long and red.
It's that red ombre color, which I really liked.
Yeah, and blonde shit at the bottom. And when they show Rocket coming through the door to Thor's house in the trailer, you just see Rocket. In the movie, Hulk's walking in with them. So they cut him out. In the trailer, when they're doing the slow-mo walk with the time travel suits on, we see Thor, but he still has a short haircut.
Yep.
He has the long haircut, and
looks like the Big Lebowski.
He is Fat Thor, yes. I thought that shit was really funny. Some people were bothered by it. They're like, "Oh, you're being fat phobic or something." It's like, shut up. Like, stop.
No.
I'm
like, if he put on the weight by drinking beer for 5 years, it's not going to just disappear magically because he's Thor.
Well, no, and not only that, but it's just like, it's not being fat phobic by saying, "Hey, this person let themselves go." It's like he let himself go because he's depressed and he feels like he has nothing to live for. Like, he's not ruling New Asgard, which we forgot to bring that up. There's Asgard is on Earth now. I was like, that's cool.
It looked like a small town in New England.
Pretty much. It was just like a little fishing village and shit. Well, shit, most of the Asgardians are dead, so
That's
he ain't
true.
got many
There was
left.
like 12 of them.
Yeah,
man.
they're like, "Man, we just trying to make it by catching crabs and shit." I don't know. But
giving Thor beer.
Yeah, pretty much. That's basically their whole function, is to keep him drunk and happy and shit. And he's like, we got to see Korg again.
Yep.
That shit was funny. He's like, "Hey guys, beer's in the bucket." He's like, you feel free to connect to the Wi-Fi."
I know, I thought that was adorable.
Oh, that shit was funny. They playing Fortnite and shit. And
we'll give you the Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, but it didn't bother me, Fat Thor. I thought it was like a silly joke, and I thought they would get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna, like, when he transforms with the hammer, he's gonna, like, go back to normal." But no, they kept him that way through the whole movie.
That's what I mean. 5 years of beer, you can't just lose that shit just because you're the God of Thunder.
Yeah, beer and pizza and shit. It was like,
hey,
shit. He's like, "Fuck it."
It's a rough life trying to get rid of beer and pizza, let me tell you. I know all about that.
People were mad, too, because his mom was like, "Oh, for God's sake, eat a salad," or something like that. Because they're like, "Oh, they're being fat phobic and shit." And it's like, no, not really. It didn't bother me.
You know what? As a chubby woman who has had weight issues and issues with shit that people say like that did not bother me. Not one bit.
Yeah, I was like, people just bitching just to be bitching.
I was really excited that we actually got to see Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of rumor that he wasn't going to be in this even after they undid the snap.
Why?
Something to do with Chris Pratt working on a project, and they said that he wouldn't be available.
No, because that wouldn't have made sense, because they actually filmed both these movies back to back. They just came out a year apart.
Right.
Because that's how they were kind of confusing the actors to keep them from knowing what was happening, because they were filming Infinity War and Endgame at the same time. So they were like, "I don't know what the fuck is in this movie, because we were doing time travel at one scene, and in the other scene we getting snapped into dust, so I don't know what the fuck is happening." So, I mean, they didn't come out and say that.
Right. Well, I did see an online forum about how Chris Pratt was probably not going to be in Avengers Endgame just because I think he's working on another Jurassic film. And there was like a scheduling conflict or something. I was like, that's fucked up. He's going to be in Guardians 3, but he isn't going to be in
Endgame. Yeah.
Endgame.
No. And he's not in it a lot.
We did see Drax, didn't we?
Yeah, because he jumps on the back of that one thing and he's stabbing the shit out of it. Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah. We don't see the Guardians a whole lot, but there were so many people to give, like, the spotlight, which is another thing that they did well, that they gave everybody something to do. Even if it was for a brief second, everybody got a little moment to shine.
Oh, I knew we weren't going to see Drax much.
No.
Batista's back at wrestling.
Yeah, but still, he's gonna be in Guardians.
But it was cool.
Yeah. I want to talk about two more plot holy issues. Not plot holes per se,
Holios.
but things that kind of, one's a plot hole, one's something that I'm just fascinated to see.
Okay.
And kind of a real convenience thing. And then we can wrap this up. The Thanos and Nebula paradox.
Mm-hmm.
This bothers me.
Yes.
Thanos and past Nebula from 2014, they find out, you know, what's going on with them trying to steal the stones and shit, because Nebula's Wi-Fi, I guess, is connected to her past self or whatever when she goes back. The thing that bothers me about that thing when they first go back, when she goes back with War Machine, she's like, we gotta be careful because we're not the only ones looking for the Power Stone right now. And he's like, who else is? And she's like, Thanos. It's like, wouldn't you think to tell him that before y'all went back to the past? Like, hey, Thanos is here at this time, and my old past self and Gamora's past self, so we gotta be careful. Like, wouldn't it have made sense for you to send anybody else besides you go? Because the whole reason the mission got fucked up was because her ass was there. So I'm like, they wouldn't have even known any of this was happening if it wasn't for her connecting to her past self while she was back there.
I would say she didn't connect to her past self while she was back there. The past self was fighting in 2014, and her head gets knocked around. It gets knocked around against the floor. And so something with when her...
But still, either way, though, if her past self
her head hit in the floor,
yeah,
it made her connect to the future self.
But still, though, she was only able to do that because they were both in the same timeline.
They
wasn't
weren't
like
in the same time when she got her head knocked around.
Yeah, they were.
They were still in the... No, they were still in the thing. They were laying out the plan.
No. They saw them laying out the plan after that had happened, because she's in... Okay, when it first happens, she's talking to Thanos, and, okay, this is what happens. She gets the stone and gives it to Rhodey. Rhodey teleports back first. Nebula's about to teleport, and then she starts having this headache.
Right.
And then the other Nebula, she's talking to Thanos, and then the thing starts projecting, and she sees what's going, or they see what's going on, and he was like, what the fuck is that? And then she realizes, like, oh shit, they know we're here, so she goes back to the ship to tell Clint and Natasha and them, like, hey, Thanos, they know about us or whatever, and then they take her ship up. Then after they get her up there, Thanos has her all fucking taken apart and shit, and then they go back through all of her memories, and they see them laying out the plan, like, Thanos did this, that, and the other, because that's how he saw his head get cut off. And that's how he knew he died. And they were like, enhance this image, what's that in the mirror? And then they zoom in, and they see it's Nebula in the mirror, and they're like, oh, she joins forces with them to do this. That's how they get the idea to send the past Nebula back instead. So she was in that timeline. That's how she saw that shit in the first place. That wasn't when they were still laying out the plan. They saw the plan after she had already went back to the past.
Okay, I guess I was just running it all together.
Either way, Nebula shouldn't have went back. Or if she was going to go back, I don't know, maybe tell Rhodey before you go back, like, hey, Thanos is here and we need to be careful. She waits until they're on the fucking planet. Because remember, they all go to Vormir together.
Right.
And then they fly off in another ship to the other planet where Star-Lord is to get the Power Stone.
Right.
At what point in between all that did you think to go like, oh, hey, by the way, Thanos is here. Sorry. Like, she don't bring that up. And then even Rhodey makes a face like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, why didn't you say something before?
Right.
Anyway, that aside.
You would think that they would have went to a different point in time where the stone was then.
It was probably easiest for them to get it then, because then they could return it there again, so then Star-Lord could still get it later.
Makes sense.
Still, that being said, the paradox with Thanos and Nebula is, Nebula goes to the present. Evil Nebula.
Yes.
And then she sneaks off and brings past Thanos to the present. They kill Nebula, past Nebula, in the future. But doesn't that fuck up the timeline?
It should.
Because you can't change the past without splintering off to a new timeline for them.
Right.
But if you bring a past person to the future and then kill them, they don't continue on.
In the path that they were going.
Right. And you can't bring her back unless you're going to take future Nebula back to the past and let her stay there and live out as the evil Nebula. And past Thanos and past his army and everything else comes to the future. And they all get dusted in the future.
Right.
Doesn't that fuck up the timeline?
I would think so.
Now, maybe, because since they dusted them, this is the one thing I could think that they could kind of write off later and be like, oh yeah, Iron Man just snapped them all back to the past. Like, he didn't actually kill them like Thanos did. He just snapped them back to the past.
Maybe, because when Peter Parker's trying to tell Tony about how, like, where he's been for the last 5 years,
yeah.
he explains that
He said, I must have passed out or some shit.
There were other people there.
Yeah, but those are all the other people that got snapped away.
Right.
He was like, Doctor Strange was there.
Right. But they were somewhere together.
Yeah, they weren't just dead. They were in limbo or some such shit.
Right. So,
but still, though.
Maybe the only thing I can think of is if when they snap the bad guys back, they're all just kind of in limbo, not necessarily in the past. They're just kind of hanging somewhere.
It would have made more sense if he would have just sent them back to the past. Because it's like, well, if you kill them now, then that past Thanos never does any of the shit that leads up to that.
If they would have just sent them back to the past, then
it would have kept the timeline.
It would have kept the timeline in check, and then Thanos would still come and try to do the stones and still try to dust everybody.
Because that's why they said, they was like, why can't we just go back and kill baby Thanos? They're like, no, you can't do that. But they technically do it anyway. He's just not a baby, but they still kill him before he gets the stones.
Right.
So that's why I was kind of like, okay, but since they dusted him.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either until, I've been thinking about this movie ever since we saw Saturday.
I bet you have.
So I've been, you know me, I start overanalyzing shit, and that was one of the things that dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, if you killed him, wouldn't that fuck up everything else that y'all did before? But whatever.
I think, and as much as this is going to pain me to say,
okay,
I think that they should not try to go further and make Avengers, like, collectively, they should not try to make any more movies past this. Because they're going to end...
Please explain.
Not because I don't want to see the Avenger movies.
Sure.
Not because it was, written poorly or whatever. I have a feeling that if they try to go moving forward with this new reality that they've set, they're gonna end up fucking up and tripping on something and undoing something that they've already done and redone.
I can see where you're coming from, because this is my other thing.
Like, they had a lot in this movie, and they had a lot of things that they had to make sure they didn't retcon in the back.
Yep.
They have 11 movies that they had.
Or 11 years.
11 years worth of movies. 11 years worth of movies, 22 movies that they had to fine-tooth comb and make sure that they didn't retcon anything with all this damn time travel shit. So I think that, sure, Guardians 3 is fine. Sure, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, the individual movies can more than likely exist. But to do something with this massive amount of characters and this massive amount of information and story bit, I think that they would fuck up if they tried to.
Yeah, they're never going to do anything this big. I mean, maybe in another 10 years from now, hey, when we're in our 40s, maybe we'll have another fucking Endgame type massive battle, but I don't think they're ever going to have anything like this again no time soon. That being said, though, this is one of the other things I want to talk about, which I'm fascinated to see how this is going to play out, and it's kind of some conveniences in there, too. The status quo has changed.
Yes.
Because that was one of the things I liked about the ending of this, is that they didn't just make the snap never happen.
Right.
It still happened, but it's 5 years later.
Right.
So all these people have been gone for 5 years. It's interesting to see in that time, like, okay, remember at the beginning when Cap is the counselor of that, like, group and shit, and he's talking to those people, and the guy, that's actually one of the directors, the guy who was talking about how he was on a date, and they were crying at dinner and shit, and he was saying how his husband got snapped away, and that he was on a date, and then it was all sad and somber. His husband is back now, after the snap has been undone.
Right.
Now, this is 5 years later, so is his husband, are they going to get back together? I mean, has too much time passed? It's like, and other people, say, for example, people may have moved on, got new relationships, had kids and shit. And it's like your significant other who got dusted is back. And it's like, how does that play out now? Now, I guarantee you they're probably never going to touch on this in the movies, but it will be fascinating to see how this works. This is the other thing. Peter Parker
Oh,
is a high school student.
I was waiting for you to get there.
He has been gone for 5 years.
Yes.
He should be in college by now.
Correct.
But now he has to go back to high school. And we see Ned is there and they greet him. So Ned has also been dusted and came back. Because they do the little dap handshake and shit at the end.
Either that or Ned was left.
Yeah, but Ned wouldn't still be in high school 5 years later.
No, I know. Either Ned was still left and he's just because the look on his face looks like he hasn't seen Peter in 5 years.
Sure.
So I can see like their reaction was genuine, but Peter walks into that high school.
Mm-hmm.
Ned should not still be there.
I'm assuming he got dusted too because if you remember, the last time Ned saw Peter, he was jumping off the side of the bus to go fight Thanos in
Right.
Infinity War. So even if he had got dusted, he didn't know what happened to Peter after that anyway.
Right.
So we're gonna assume Ned got dusted as well. Because if not, your ass need to get the fuck out of it. You need to be in an adult high school. Motherfucker, you can't be here no more. I don't give a fuck if you dropped out and was depressed because your friend died.
5 years later,
You can't.
should not
You
still be in
like
high
20
school.
something, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. The other thing is, fast forward to Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Okay. They're still in high school.
MJ, Flash, and every other character in that movie who was in Spider-Man: Homecoming, the entire cast of Spider-Man: Homecoming got dusted. Because if not, none of them should still be in high school.
Right.
That's kind of a convenience thing for me because I'm just like, it was half of humanity, but it just so happened that your entire cast of your movie was also a part of that half that got dusted.
That damn mouse.
Not one single character from that group survived that because they're all on a high school field trip together
Right.
to Italy and shit. So it's like, you just dusted a whole movie. Like in Black Panther, Okoye is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Shuri and T'Challa, they got dusted.
You was thinking that hard to get
Yeah,
T'Challa?
I couldn't think of his name for some reason.
Okay, like, I saw your wheels turning, and I
Yeah.
thought maybe you were thinking of somebody I couldn't think of, and I was
No.
gonna say T'Challa, but I didn't want to insult your intelligence.
No.
but-
Shuri and T'Challa, they got dusted because they come back through the portal
Right.
and shit. But I'm like, that's only a part of that cast. He didn't dust all of Wakanda and shit.
No.
Like, M'Baku didn't get dusted.
Nope.
So, and Okoye didn't get dusted, but everybody from Spider-Man's movie got dusted. I was like, okay, we'll go with it, whatever.
It's that Sony-Disney merger.
I guess they dusted his contract, I guess. I don't know.
The mouse, he said,
But I'm just fascinated to see what happens now, because now, Clint is 5 years older and his family's back, so, their dad's 5 years older than what he was when they last saw him. His kids didn't age, but
he's got
his
a
wife
different
didn't
haircut.
age. Yeah, I know. He tattooed sleeves and all kind of shit. Scott's daughter is 5 years older.
That? Like, how do you explain stuff like that to your wife? Like, how's Clint gonna be like, oh my god, I'm so glad that you were back. And
I became the Punisher while you were gone and shit.
The knockoff Punisher.
Right. But I'm just curious to see what the status quo of the MCU is now.
Right.
That all these people are back, but so much time has passed. 'Cause it ain't like it was like a year later. That was 5 years.
That's a
man.
long
That's a
time.
long fucking time. So I'm like, children have been born and shit in that time and all kind of shit. So I'm like, I'm fascinated to see, like, if the president got dusted. If he came back, is he still president? Does whoever current president, do they get kicked out of office because the old president's back now?
I don't think it works like that.
Hey, we are uncharted territory.
know.
We don't know.
You're right.
But I'm just saying, like, all that kind of stuff is interesting to me. I doubt that they'll touch on it, but if they do, I really hope that they do, because that could be a really cool thing to play with.
Mm-hmm.
With how the world is dealing with everybody being gone for 5 years. Now they're back instantly, and it's like, oh shit, like,
Right.
hey honey, like, I got a new bitch now, like, I want a divorce, like, or
Either that or be like, hey, you were here. I'm sorry. I moved on, but I ain't kicking her out neither.
Exactly.
So y'all gonna have to.
And this is just a fun little thing I also thought about. The way they made it seem like, because when they were opening the portals, if you looked in the background, like, T'Challa and them were coming from Wakanda.
Right.
and the Guardians and Spider-Man and them were coming from that planet that they were on. I think it was Planet Titan from Infinity War.
Yep.
So everybody got brought back where they died.
Right.
Okay? There were people that disappeared off of airplanes and boats and shit. So they just reappear in the sky and just fall or like in the middle of the ocean? Like, is that how that... They're never going to go into that.
No.
But I'm just like, if you were driving in your car and disappeared, do you just like appear on the expressway or some shit?
Well, I mean, they did have all of those abandoned buildings and cars and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Cap's doing the thing at MetLife.
Yeah.
So theoretically, if you disappeared from your car, you could reappear in your car.
Right, but what if your car ain't in the same place no more? I'm sure they ain't just leave that car on the street for 5 years.
I'm sure they did.
Well, not everywhere. I mean, some places, sure.
That's
but...
kind of what it looked like when they were doing that.
But again, though, if you were in a plane, that plane ain't still flying around.
No,
and it wasn't like you appeared in the vehicle you were in. You came back to the spot you died. So I'm like, if you were an astronaut in space and you got dusted, you come back, you just floating in space, like... Would that not be like, so if the planet that they got dusted on, like Spider-Man and them, if that planet was exploded, would they just appear floating in space because there ain't no planet there now?
Now, I think you're just reading way too much into it.
It's just fun to think about because I'm just like, that would be, a lot of people died that day because say you were in a building.
Right.
And now the building ain't there no more. Do you just fall from the distance that you were at or do you just appear on the ground?
Maybe just on the ground.
We'll assume. When he snapped, he was like, okay, everybody comes back in a safe way.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, if you were in a hot air balloon, do you just like drop? Like, how does that work?
No, they come back on the ground.
Okay. That being said,
like a reverse rapture type thing from that Left Behind movie.
There you go. That being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. The final thing I want to talk about, though, is Captain America going back and Tony dying. I thought that it was a real good send-off for both those characters to have Cap finally get the life that he wanted to have with Peggy. He finally got that dance from the first Captain America movie because they were supposed to go dancing together, and then when he goes to crash the ship into the ice, he's like, oh, I'm going to have to get a rain check on that dance or whatever, and she's like, okay, next week at such and such, and he's like, you got it. And obviously that never happens.
Right.
But now he was able to go back and live that life with her.
I thought that was cool.
I
Like, I know a lot of people were bitching, and I knew that when they were sending Cap back, I knew, like...
I was like, he ain't coming back.
Yeah, I did too. I was
especially
like,
when he looks over at Bucky, when they're like, hey, he was like, we'll see you in a second or whatever. He looks at Bucky, and he kind of looks at him. I was like, he ain't coming back.
Yep,
I was like, he ain't coming back.
I was like, he's not coming back.
And it's fucked up, though, because I feel like he told Bucky, but he didn't tell Falcon. Because Falcon was like, the fuck, when he shows up again, but Bucky, like, he knew, because he was the first one to see him, he was like, hey, go over there.
Right.
And I was like, why you tell Bucky, but didn't tell nobody else you wasn't coming back?
Because they all would have probably tried to stop him.
Yeah, it wouldn't let him go.
Bucky,
but why not, though? Let him
Bucky
live his
would
life.
be the one that would understand, because Bucky was from that time.
Yeah, he was like, hey, I had my past stolen from me, too, so go
right.
live your life. Which... also kind of brings up a little kind of paradox-y thing. Not so much a paradox, but just an interesting thing to think about. That means that because the future still plays out the way it does with the past Captain America, that he fights and shit and does the whole America's ass joke on, which that was hilarious.
That was funny.
But if you think about it, that means that everything that happened from that point when he goes back all the way up until the future, Captain America just had the current Captain America just had to sit out on.
Yep.
So he knew that Hydra was a part of S.H.I.E.L.D., couldn't tell nobody about it. He knew what was going to happen in the first Avengers movie, couldn't tell nobody about it.
Right.
He knew what happened to Age of Ultron, couldn't tell nobody, couldn't do nothing about it, and had to pretend that he didn't exist. Also, if you think about it, when he sees Peggy in Civil War, when she's dying, she has to not tell him that, hey, we were married and had a life together and shit because you came back from the future, but I can't tell you none of this shit. She got to pretend like they ain't seen each other in decades and shit. And I'm just like, that's crazy. And doesn't she have kids and shit too, Peggy? Are those Caps and her kids?
Maybe.
Because they said that she did get married to somebody. And I don't know if they had kids or not, but I'm like, so does that person she married, was that Cap?
Could have been.
And we just had to pretend it was a different person?
Yeah. It could have been because he never says that it was her. Because he says, yeah, I'd rather not talk about her.
No. He just says that he doesn't want to go into whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but Sam wouldn't know who she was.
No, but they do show them dancing together at the very end.
We know.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, Sam knows.
No.
It doesn't mean that, Cap told anybody.
I think he assumes, though. But no, I just mean more so that the people who we knew existed from the past up until the present, they all had to pretend that Captain America wasn't in the past with them.
Right.
Like, Peggy had to pretend all the way into her death that Cap never came back. Even when they find him in the ice and shit, he knows that, they're going to find my body in the ice, they're going to throw me out, I'm going to be in an Avengers movie, I'm going to leave S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra's going to infect that shit. He knew about 9/11, everything else, and he couldn't say anything to anybody or do anything to change it because he couldn't change the future.
Right.
So I'm like, also, in my mind, I would have loved to see like a deleted scene of just seeing that old ass man, Captain America, trying to sneak through the woods while they sending this young Captain America off to go sit on that bench because he was sitting on that bench, so he knew where to be and when to be there when he got sent back. So it was like, how long had he been sitting there before they found him?
Probably a while.
Yeah, probably. Also,
because it kind of alluded that his wife was dead.
Yeah.
And so...
Oh, well, yeah, because the only reason he's still alive because it's super soldier serum.
Right.
Like, he should have been dead a long time ago. Also, especially once we did that 5-year time jump, too. How did you feel about Tony dying?
I mean, T-Money was all excited.
Because he doesn't
hates
like Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Did you see it coming? I
kind of did. At the beginning of...
What gave it away for you?
Like, at the beginning when they almost had him near death in the opening
That's not
scene.
what did it for me.
But when he realizes that...
Well, when he talks to Strange about the one
Yep,
way
when
this
he's
had to
talking
go down.
about, and Strange is just like, there's one possibility.
Yeah, he even holds up the one finger to him.
Because that flashback to what Tony's vision was in Ultron. Like, Tony had the vision. I think it was in Ultron. Tony had the vision where he died.
Well, no, everybody else died.
Or everybody else died,
yeah,
that's what it was.
And he had to watch. He even saw Cap's broken shield.
Right. So that kind of alluded to, I figured that about halfway through the movie that Tony was going to have to be the one.
What gave it away for me is the trope that you always see in, like, buddy cop movies. Not necessarily buddy cop, but, like, coupling movies where it's, like, a new guy and an older guy or something like that. When it's always, like, the older guy, it's tomorrow he retires.
Yep.
Or this is his last day on the job. Or he just got married or something. That character is always the one to die. And when they showed his daughter... When they finally had a baby with Pepper, I'm like, they killing Tony. Like, it's a wrap. They not finna let you have a happy ending. They finna kill your ass. The moment that little girl came out that tent with that Iron Man helmet, I was like, yep, he's done. I knew right then. I was like, yep, they killing him. I'm like, somehow, some way, he gonna die. So the whole time during that last fight, I was like, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they won't kill him. But then when he takes the stones from Thanos, I was like, yep, that's it.
I didn't know that early. But I did.
Just because I watch a lot of movies.
Like, I hoped that we were gonna see more of Pepper than what we did.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted him to, like, present the suit to her and her be all, like,
sure.
What is this?
They do establish, though, that he already had made it, because he's like, oh, that's Mom's or whatever, and it's in the garage, and you're not supposed to be playing with that, and yada, yada.
But he hadn't given it to her yet.
Oh,
when the little girl comes out of the tent, he's like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I was in the garage. He said, yeah, well, we're going to put this back in the garage, because that's for Mom, for her anniversary. And then he takes it, and she's like, yeah.
No, that being said, what the fuck was he gonna do with that shit? Who are they fighting at that point?
He's like, yeah, well, she probably doesn't like anything. She doesn't ever like anything that I get her anyways.
They into some kinky shit. That's what that is. They finna do some Iron Man and Iron Woman fucking shit. They finna be floating in the air fucking.
Maybe he knew at that point. Maybe Tony knew at that point.
No, because they hadn't came and visited him yet to tell him about time travel.
No, but I mean... he had to have known that Pepper was going to need some kind of protection.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe when he dies, or maybe he just, because of his PTSD, he's still so paranoid. He can't stop building suits and shit.
Could be.
Because he had a new suit in this movie, so.
He had a badass suit in this movie.
It was actually like reminiscent of like the original Iron Man comic book with the gold arms and shit, because the colors. It wasn't built like that one, but they had the same color scheme.
I like how the glove like fit to Bruce's or the Hulk's hand.
Yeah, he made like an Iron Man glove and shit. Somebody was complaining about that. They were like, so they had to make the Infinity Gauntlet from like the heart of a dying star, and Thor almost got killed doing it in Infinity War. Remember? Because when they go see Peter Dinklage's character, he's the one that made the glove for Thanos, and he had to do all the shit with the levers and the star burning his chest and all that. I kind of get that, and they're like, but Iron Man was able to just make a gauntlet from just regular Earth metals and shit to hold the stones.
No, he made it out of vibranium.
Oh, we're just going to assume that. They don't say that, but I'll give you that. We're going
to go with that.
Whatever, nanotech, vibranium, some shit, whatever. Hey, vibranium does everything, so we've established that. Fair enough, I'll give you that. Though, I thought it was boss as hell when he steals the stones from Thanos, and he goes to snap, because Thanos is like, I am inevitable, and he snaps, and nothing happens, and he's like, the fuck, and the
Tony's got
gone.
the stones, yeah, that
and
was
then you see him, like, moving up into place on his glove, he's like, and I am Iron Man. And
that was awesome!
That was boss's shit.
I love when he says, I am Iron Man.
And that,
in the first one.
Yeah, and that, if you think about it, is the last thing he says.
Yep.
Those were his very last words. It was the last thing he says at the end of Iron Man 1, and the last thing he says before he dies.
Yep.
Is I am Iron Man. And I was like, wow. And
I got all geeked.
I didn't cry.
I got all geeked at that point.
I didn't cry at any point throughout the movie. Even when Natasha died, I was sad, but it didn't make me cry.
You cried when Tony died, and Peter's like...
That's when they got me. They got the same thing in Infinity War. I didn't cry at no point until Peter died.
Yep.
And they got me with Peter again. They was just like, okay, these one or two motherfuckers in the theater that ain't crying, what do we got to do to get that? Bring Spider-Man ass out. Get him in this bitch. When he came up to him, he's like, we did it, Mr. Stark. He's like, we won. And he's like, you did it, and he starts crying, and he's like, Tony, wake up, and I was just like, oh, man.
I looked over, and I knew it.
I was like
I was looking around A-Train, and I'm like, I knew it was getting you.
They got me.
And T-Money's sitting next to me, and he's like laughing, and
he's like, fuck him.
He's like, fuck Iron Man. And I said, are you happy now? He's like, yep, I am. And I looked over, and you're bawling, and
they got me again.
Amber's just sitting there, and she's just like... She was over it at that point.
Yeah, well, we were creeping up on that 3-hour mark.
Yeah, it was almost 1 o'clock at that point. And T-Money's sitting there, and he's got like this little smirk on his face, and I'm like, fuck you, and I feel your pain, Mike. I feel it.
I was sad, but I wasn't to tears until Peter started crying. But it's because not just because he's my favorite character, which honestly, it's changed. Traditionally, Spider-Man, I mean, as far as just overall, like in every medium, Spider-Man is my favorite character. But as far as the MCU goes, Captain America is my favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
Like, after he picked up that hammer, I was like, you are the one. Like, they've been progressively getting me to like Cap from each time I see him. Mm-hmm. But by the end of this, I was like, man, especially that last shot right before everybody comes back, where everybody else is beat the fuck up. And it's just him standing against, like, all of Thanos' army and shit. And he got the broken shield. And he straps that shit down. And he stands up again. And I was like, they finna kill Cap. This is the moment right here. He finna go out solo by himself against the whole army. And then everybody comes back and they have the big battle at the end.
Right.
But that one shot, I was like, he is my favorite character. In the whole MCU, he is my favorite character. And I'm fucking pissed off that he's gone. They didn't kill him like I thought they were going to, but they basically did because he's not Captain America no more. He gives the shield.
Right.
That being said, I thought it was really touching when they had the funeral and they show everybody. And I figured out who that kid was.
Yeah, I did too. He's the kid that was in Iron Man 3.
Yep. He's grown up now because it's 5 years later.
Right.
So, yeah.
Makes sense.
I liked the funeral scene, and another part that didn't make me outright cry, but it did make me tear up was when Happy Hogan's talking to Tony's daughter, and he's like, you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. You know, she's like a kid. Like, it's not really processing. Like, because kids aren't affected by death like adults are, because I don't think that they really understand the gravity of what happens, like somebody's gone forever. Right. You know, especially when you're really young like that, because I think she was,
Like 5.
6, some shit.
Well, she was 5 because
Well,
Pepper
was pregnant in Infinity War.
Yep,
Because he was saying, I had a dream, we had a kid. So she had to have been pregnant then because she ain't seen Tony since. So unless he immediately got her pregnant right after he comes back.
No, I think that I think she was pregnant in the end of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because she kept saying, Tony, there's something I got to tell you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and then Doctor Strange shows up and he has to go off. Okay.
So I'm pretty sure she was pregnant at the end of Infinity War. So the kid's 5, 6, probably 6.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, she's just kind of like, I'm okay. He's like, well, are you hungry? She's like, yeah. He's like, what do you want? She's like, oh, I want cheeseburgers. And he's like, your dad loved cheeseburgers. And I was like, God damn, man.
Yeah,
like,
that made me kind of
I've never teared up about cheeseburgers before in my fucking life until this movie. I was like, wow. Like,
and Happy's just like, I'll get you all the cheeseburgers you want. My first thought was take her to Burger King, 2 for $6.
Yep.
Get
because
her that Whopper.
in the first Iron Man, when he comes back from being stuck in the cave, the first thing he says to Pepper, he's like, I want 2 things. He's like, first, he was like, set up a press conference. And then he was like, and the other thing, and she's like, oh, no. He's like, no, it's not what you think it is. He was like, no, he says, American cheeseburger, and in the press conference. And he's like, cheeseburger first. And then they come and they pull up to the press conference, and he's like eating Burger King and
Burger
shit.
King, yep.
And I was like, God damn. I was like, that, again, called all the way back to the first Iron Man, a throwaway line about cheeseburgers.
Yep. And they didn't even reference Burger King specifically, nor did they, they didn't say Burger King in the first Iron Man.
No.
They just showed that it was Burger King.
Show it, yeah.
You know that was a Whopper.
Oh, hell yeah.
And for those of you who have never seen a Whopper, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And they didn't specifically say, Burger King in this one too, but as a fan, your brain is like, oh, cheeseburger, Burger King, because that's what Iron Man eats.
Yep. I mean, I made a joke when I was announcing on Twitter that we were doing our review for this tonight, and I was like, it may end up being about as long as the movie. We have talked about this for about 2 hours now, so I think we've probably covered everything we could cover in the movie.
Yep. Can you imagine if we'd have had the other 2?
Oh, God, yeah. This would have been longer than the fucking movie.
We wouldn't have had dumb shit.
Nope.
We wouldn't have had Rabbit
This whole episode almost was just the movie.
We wouldn't have had 2 trailers. We wouldn't have had nothing. We'd have been like, hi, this is what we've been doing. Okay, Avengers.
Nope. Thanos would have dusted the whole podcast, and we'd have been doing nothing but the movie.
Yep.
I mean,
didn't we do Black Panther like that?
Black Panther? Pretty much,
The Black Panther review was mostly...
Yeah, pretty much. I think Infinity War was basically like that, too.
Yep, Infinity War was... We talked about maybe 1 or 2 things. We're like, okay, and moving on. Infinity War.
Yeah, man, it was a great movie. I mean, it had some minor gripes throughout, but like I said, nothing that could take away from all the goodness that we got overall. I've seen people gripe like, oh, there's too much fan service and the other.
No, see, I like that shit.
And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you.
Right.
Because we've been building to this for 11 years, over 21 prior movies. We earned some fucking fan service at this point. If you stayed with this shit and invested and were lucky enough to follow this whole time and care, that's what you're supposed to do, is reward the people who have stuck with this. Just like Infinity War, this movie ain't for new people.
Right, no.
If you just started watching this like at Captain Marvel, this ain't for you. I'm like, if you watch Black Panther, then this, or Infinity War, then this ain't for you.
I want to say T-Money's got a friend, and his friend actually come with us to Infinity War. Him and his girlfriend haven't seen anything before, I want to say... It wasn't Black Panther. No, I want to say they haven't seen anything before Ultron.
Wow. Well, that's kind of far back, but...
Let's see. Well, because he said that they went and seen Black Panther with us. What's the one that come out right before Black Panther?
Civil War.
Civil War?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, yeah, because we see Black Panther in Civil War, and then he gets his own movie after that. Maybe Ragnarok? Maybe. Yeah, Ragnarok's somewhere in between.
Like,
Civil War
somewhere
and Black Panther,
between, I think they said right before Black Panther, but
no,
after.
Ragnarok is the last movie right before Infinity War, because at the end of Ragnarok, they see Thanos' ship.
Okay.
So the very next thing is Infinity War.
They saw something between Ragnarok and Infinity War.
Okay.
Like, I think Ragnarok was their first one.
No, Ragnarok is the next movie, or Infinity War is right after Ragnarok.
Black Panther was in there before that.
Yeah, Black Panther, then Ragnarok, then Infinity War.
I thought it was in Ragnarok, then Black Panther, then Infinity War.
No. Black Panther doesn't come out before Infinity War. That's
No.
right before. God damn it. Go ahead, but they hadn't seen.
Any which way,
Okay.
they had only seen Infinity War and Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
And like one other one. They had no idea about the rest of it. And I'm like, y'all got to start from the back of the line here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's so cool about it is, if you have been following this whole time, all the way back to Iron Man 1,
Yep.
they give you everything you need up until this point to be like, you know what? We appreciate y'all sticking with us this whole time.
Right.
Over a decade of movies, like we are gonna we are gonna give you what you deserve from from sticking with us this whole time. I'm trying to find it. Hang on. Okay. So it goes.
Now make sure you pull up the sequential order, not the
Yeah,
chronological
when they were
order.
released. Yeah. No, I got you. So, okay. Black Panther came out in 2018.
Yep. Ragnarok was before that.
Let's see, where's Ragnarok? Okay, you're right. All right. Ragnarok was 2017, then it was Black Panther, then it was Infinity War. You're right.
Okay, so I think they said they started with Black Panther.
Okay. Damn.
They hadn't seen anything.
Yeah, so they had no idea what the fuck was going on in Infinity War then.
No.
They was like, I don't know who this is. I know Wakanda, but that don't show
They
up till like
they
towards the end
might
of the
have
movie.
seen one of the Guardians,
Okay.
but that was a whim.
So yeah, they didn't know Iron Man, Thor, Cap, none of them motherfuckers. The main team.
Yeah, they didn't know none of them.
Jesus.
I was like, nah, y'all need to go back of the line.
But I mean, all that being said, though, I mean, I did not have complaints about the fan service and stuff. I was happy it was there. I appreciated it because I'm like, you know what? This is a return on your investment. It's
Right.
like, hey, if you have spent the time to sit with us through all this shit, here you go. Thank you.
Right. Like to thank our fans, you know, the ones that have sat through these 3-hour reviews.
Right. I mean, yeah. Go see it in game. Go see it again. Keep seeing it. Like, please, if we can make this the #1 highest grossing movie of all time, if we can please finally knock Avatar out of that #1 spot, please get that damn movie out of that spot.
Well, like Ben said, there's 4 other movies that have made over $2 billion.
Mhm.
2 of them are James Cameron movies, Avatar and Titanic.
Yep.
And the other 3 are Endgame, Infinity War,
Well, Endgame hasn't made $2 billion yet, but
Set 2.
yeah, sure, yeah, not yet, but it probably, yes.
Right. Endgame, Infinity War, and Star Wars.
And you know what's crazy though?
The mouse owns 3 out of 4, or 3 out of 5 of them.
What's really crazy about that though is the fact that Titanic is on there.
Yep.
That's in like 1990s money.
1998.
So if you think about it, really that movie, like if adjusted for inflation, that movie's probably closer to like $3 billion, to be honest. Because they just say, hey, this is what it made at that point, but what money or ticket prices and shit are worth now compared to back then.
Right.
The fact that made $2 billion, people saw that movie a
97?
lot,
Yeah.
a whole lot. So I mean, that's crazy. That's an accomplishment. But
I'm
I mean,
with you though. I'd like to knock out Avatar.
yeah, like please, if for no other reason, just see it again, just because it's fucking good. Like it's long, and there's a lot of shit to digest. Like I'm surprised that I was able to remember as much as I did.
Yeah, especially since we saw it Saturday.
Yeah, so it's
and
been a few days.
Currently Tuesday.
Yeah, as we're recording this.
But
it was a great movie. Like I was never bored. And I'm again, like I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon and that hashtag. Thank you, Avengers. Like it was great. Like again, we may never get nothing like this again, especially not with these characters.
No.
Like they may reboot some of these people like down 10, 15 years from now. Who knows if they're still even making Marvel movies? But if they were to stop making Marvel movies today, I'd be happy with where we ended it at.
Well, yeah, because even if they stop making them today, those characters are not going to go away.
No.
And
But as far as like
you
the
can-
cinematic universe,
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
like they ended it on a high note, and they didn't. It's kind of like that shit from The Dark Knight. It's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Yep.
So it's like if they were to stop right now, they left on a high, and they left, on their best foot, and not because people just sick of superhero movies now, and so they
Right.
stop making them. So I mean, not that I want the MCU to end. Some people are like, "Oh, I need a break after this. Give me
See,
2-3 years."
don't.
I'm like, "No, when is fucking Far From Home coming out? Bring Doctor Strange 2, Black Panther 2, Guardians 3. Like, I'm ready. Like, what's the next motherfucker?" Especially because I know the Fantastic Four and X-Men are coming into this shit eventually. I'm like, that's how they're gonna reinvigorate, I think, the MCU for people who are kind of like, okay, I'm good now. And plus, there's kids who are just now watching these for the first time. You gotta get their money too.
I don't think I'll ever be done.
No.
Like,
They've been making superhero movies since the 70s.
I want to
since
say,
Superman
you and
came
I,
out.
our geekdom runs deep.
Mm-hmm.
And you are, as a parent, don't you want to give your kid this stuff?
Exactly.
Me, as a future parent, I want to give my kid this stuff.
Yeah. I want it for me.
But,
shit.
yeah, I know, I want it for me too, but,
No, but yeah,
I'm just saying, like, it's not going away.
No.
Like,
no.
it's a part,
Even if they slow it down.
it's a part of our culture.
Yeah.
And
it's never going to go
You
away.
know, people whose geekdom runs deep like ours do, I can guarantee you, we got, between the two of us, probably every Marvel movie. You know,
I'd agree with that.
we own them, either physical copies, digital copies, whatever. We own them. We watch them repeatedly. And I don't think that's going away anytime soon, even if they stop making new productions.
Sure.
I just don't.
No, but after this, they done made so much money, and the stakes were so high. The one thing I'm worried about is I'm like, where do you go from here now?
Yeah, I feel like we're the ones that have been dusted.
Yeah.
Or we're the ones that are left from the dust.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do now?
I know. It's like after this big, giant, I mean, I'm telling you, that last 40 minutes, there's so much shit happening on the screen. It's just like, how do you top that? I mean, not that you need to top it, because you ain't going to be able to top it.
No.
No
But
solo
how do you go
movie.
forward from that?
But yeah, it's like, where do you go after this? Because the stakes can't be no higher than the entire universe being snapped, or half the entire universe being snapped away. So it's like, how do you make another big Avengers villain after that? That's what my thing is. What is the next Avengers movie going to be?
Right.
The solo movies, I don't need you to have some big destroy the universe type threat. But the Avengers, that you need a reason to bring all these characters back together again. Especially, like I said, now that we've got the Superman of the cinematic MCU with Captain Marvel, you need a big threat to bring her out. So
Start scouring the comics and seeing what hasn't been done, because
like I said, Galactus is the only thing I could think of. Either him or like Adam Warlock, maybe, or and they teased him at the end of Guardians 2, so I don't know what they're gonna do with that.
he might.
And before we go, we forgot Thor might be in Guardians 3. Like, that was dope. He was like the Asgardians of the Galaxy back together again.
Chris Hemsworth said that he would
Do it Thor 4.
He would play Thor
Yeah.
as long as Marvel would let him.
Oh, hell yeah. He said, man, you know how much they pay me for this shit? He said, yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. But
So hopefully we get to keep seeing him in Guardians.
yeah.
I'm excited for that. And if they wanted to do another Thor movie,
I'd watch
I'd be
it.
okay with that.
Yeah, we got Hulk is still alive. Shit.
Hulk and Thor.
Hell yeah. That was genius. Anyway, we got to go. Okay. Thank you for sitting through our 3-hour-long review. Nah, just under 2.5 hours.
And you got to cut out some other shit from the earlier segment. So
Yeah, but the review, we're at 2 hours and 16 minutes right now. Just this. I stopped recording the other thing and started this fresh. So
well,
it's going to be a long one.
that's all right.
That being said, that is it for the show. Remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com. We are also on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit.
And if you have any comments to add to our discussion, any questions, concerns, criticisms, you just want to call us out, you just want to say hi, you can always do any of that at our email, and you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. Myself, I am on Twitter at FroggyBeaver, and Benwah is on Twitter at Benwah Gaming, BenWah Gaming. We, as a show, are on Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram. I am also on Instagram. I'm not sure how Instagram, you'd find me, but I'm sure you just look for DJ Millie Mill. And all you have to do is search for One Giant Leap for Geeks if you're looking for the show. Alright, you guys have a good night. Bye.